Two sparrows chirp on a gnarled, dead branch against a stark white background. It looks peaceful, but the jagged wood hints at the desolate world our story begins in. Deep in the foggy forest, a pair of deer stop for a quick drink at a quiet stream. Everything seems calm, but there is a heavy, eerie vibe hanging over the woods. The sun peeks through dark, heavy clouds as a strange streak of light cuts across the sky. Something big is happening far away, and the atmosphere is getting seriously intense. An old, crumbling pagoda sits atop a barren hill, surrounded by dead trees. This place looks totally abandoned, like a ghost town where time just stopped moving a long time ago. Beggars huddle in the ruins of a small forest town, whispering about haunted houses and certain death. It is a grim scene, with people just waiting for the end in the wreckage. Flies buzz around a dirty, bandaged hand, while an empty bowl sits nearby. It is a harsh reminder of how low our boy has fallen, living in total filth and misery. Jiang Wang lies motionless on the cold stone floor, while an old beggar watches over him. The old man tells him to let go of whatever is weighing his heart down. This guy stares blankly at the ceiling, thinking about how impossible revenge feels in his current state. He wonders if swallowing his bitterness is the only way to find any peace. His eyes sharpen with a sudden spark of rage. He might be broken and dying, but deep down, he refuses to accept this pathetic end after everything they did to him. He remembers the good old days when he and his brothers were a tight-knit crew. They swore to be brothers for life, but those memories only taste like poison now. This guy, Fang Pengju, was the one Jiang Wang trusted most. Behind that friendly smile and casual laugh, the dude was hiding a literal blade, just waiting for the right moment. Our boy relives the moment he fell for their trap. He collapsed on the floor while his so-called brothers stood over him, watching him die after drinking that poisoned wine. They didn't just poison him, they made sure he drank every last drop. The betrayal was total, leaving Jiang Wang to rot in the mud while they took everything he earned. Back in reality, the old beggar holds out a cracked bowl, trying to give him a bit of water. It is a small act of kindness in a world that has been cruel. Suddenly, the old man looks up, sensing a weird shift in the air. Something is definitely wrong, and his confused expression says it all as he stares at the gray sky. Even though it was just sunny, snow starts falling over the ruins. The old man is totally baffled by the sudden weather change, wondering why winter decided to show up early. Tiny, intricate snowflakes drift through the air, but they aren't normal. This isn't just a storm. It is the byproduct of high-level cultivators clashing with insane power somewhere close to the town. As the snow thickens, the beggar mutters about how restless the city has become. Strange things are happening everywhere, and Jiang Wang just lies there, barely clinging to his life. The old man reaches out, noticing that some of these snowflakes are actually glowing with a weird light. His curiosity is piqued, but he has no idea how dangerous this stuff is. The moment his finger touches the glowing flake, it is game over. This isn't soft snow, it is pure, freezing energy that starts spreading across his skin in a heartbeat. This is bad. Nearby, a small bird is instantly flash-frozen mid-chirp on its branch. The poor thing didn't even have time to fly away before the ice completely encased its tiny, fragile body. A deer tries to bolt through the woods, but the freezing aura is way too fast. It's turned into a literal ice statue mid-stride, looking like a creepy decoration in the forest. The old beggar is next. The ice crawls up his body with a crackling sound, trapping him in a frozen tomb. He can only stare in horror as the energy takes over. The old man is stuck. Frozen solid, his eyes are wide with terror as that icy energy takes over, turning him into nothing but a hollow, freezing shell. Then with a loud crack, the statue just shatters into a million tiny pieces. He's completely gone, leaving nothing behind but broken shards and the cold, quiet snow. Jiang Wang lies in the dirt, staring at a single glowing snowflake. He knows this beautiful thing is deadly. Just one touch of this pure Tao essence would kill him instantly. He closes his eyes, ready to give up. After 57 days of agony and betrayal, our boy decides to just let the freezing snow take him. He's totally done with life. Suddenly, a massive fireball tears through the gray sky, lighting up the ruins. The air is thick with tension as a high-level battle starts unfolding right above the dying town. An explosion rocks the hillside, nearly leveling the old pagoda. The sheer force of the impact shows just how insane the power levels are between these two mysterious cultivators clashing. Energy streaks across the horizon, while a violent whirlwind swallows the town. Everything is being ripped apart by the aftershocks of a fight that is way beyond anything normal people understand. A ball of intense flame streaks across the landscape, leaving a trail of destruction behind. The ground shakes as the two fighters trade blows that could easily level entire cities. Jiang Wang watches from the ground, sensing the incredible resonance of the Tao. Even at death's door, he can feel the raw, overwhelming power radiating from the epicenter of the battle. A blazing fireball erupts nearby, and our boy wonders just who the hell is causing this much chaos. The ruins are being scorched as a legendary figure finally makes a grand, epic entrance. Out of the smoke and fire, a man in a red cloak appears. Zuo Guangli stands tall in the middle of a massive crater, looking like a total boss despite the destruction. From high above, we see Zuo Guangli surrounded by swirling energy as the ground beneath him cracks. This guy is a literal force of nature, and he is clearly not happy. He glares upward, calling out his enemies for their mindless killing. Zuo Guangli demands to know if they think slaughtering innocent people is part of their path to power. A voice mocks him from the clouds as Gong Yangbai floats into view. This guy does not seem to care at all about the lives he is destroying, laughing off his accusations. Gong Yangbai looks down with total arrogance, asking if Zuo Guangli really cares about the ants on the ground. To him, normal people are just nothing compared to their grand power. The enemies weave their hands into complex seals, summoning a massive rain of ice swords. Thousands of sharp blades start falling from the sky, aimed directly at Zuo Guangli's head. Zuo Guangli doesn't even flinch, conjuring a sphere of pure fire to stonewall the icy assault. The collision between heat and cold sends steam and embers flying in every direction. He hurls the fireball into the sky, conjuring a massive, blazing sun of energy that dwarfs the entire battlefield. Zuo Guangli is taking this fight to a whole new level of intensity. The attackers are completely shocked as their combined ice technique is vaporized in an instant. They realize that Zuo Guangli's power is even crazier than the rumors said it was. Gong Yangbai takes a deep breath and exhales a blast of lethal frost. The temperature drops instantly as he tries to snuff out Zuo Guangli's flames with a massive surge of cold. The frost and fire collide in a massive explosion of steam. It is a total stalemate as the two opposing elements battle for dominance, lighting up the sky with an eerie glow. Zuo Guangli charges straight through the freezing fog, roaring Gong Yangbai's name with pure rage. With a burst of blazing fire power, he cleaves the ice orb conjured by his opponent in half. He is determined to end this fight right here, refusing to let a bit of frost slow him down. Close up on our legendary hero, his expression is fierce and hyper-focused. You can clearly see his vigilance as he senses a looming threat creeping in from the sky. A barrage of flying swords rains down from the heavens like a meteor shower. The scale of this attack is insane, and the ground is about to be absolutely pulverized once again. Even though he spotted them in time, they were just too fast. Zuo Guangli is bombarded by the relentless swarm of flying swords, sending him crashing violently into the ground. A massive explosion of dust and debris swallows everything in its path, while the rain of blades continues to pour down without mercy. The dust settles, revealing Zuo Guangli standing tall amidst a sea of swords. It is clear that he took a brutal hit, but our boy is still breathing and holding his ground, defiant against all odds. Mo Jingyu watches from the back of his mechanical bird, looking pretty impressed. Zuo actually survived the 9-yin formation, but this guy is already feeling way too confident. Mo Jingyu looks down with total confidence, nodding that the Qin nation was smart to hire his family. This guy clearly thinks the battle is already won for his side. Zuo Guangli isn't having any of it, charging straight through the chaos while yelling Mo Jingyu's name. Our boy is absolutely determined to take this mechanical creep down once and for all. Gong Yangbai screams for his disciples to set up their secret formation, desperate to lock Zuo Guangli down. He knows if they give him a single opening, they are all toast. From high above, we see the disciples surrounding our hero, trapping him within pillars of eerie blue light. It's a massive tactical trap designed to snuff out his intense flames. The disciples move in perfect sync, weaving complex hand seals to strengthen the formation. They are pouring all their energy into this one attack, hoping it's enough to finish the legendary genius. The veins on the disciples' necks glow with a strange, chilling energy as they gear up for their next move. The temperature around them plummets, turning their breath into a lethal cloud of frost. He mocks Zuo Guangli, asking if he still thinks he is in control of the situation. With a wild look in his eyes, he officially activates the formation's full, terrifying power. Massive coils of green energy snakes whip through the air, slamming into the earth with terrifying speed. The ruins are completely swarmed by these mystical constructs, leaving Zuo Guangli with absolutely no room to escape. These massive energy segments rapidly fuse together, forming a colossal green serpent that lunges forward with its jaws wide open, ready to devour everything in its path. This technique is as grotesque as it is powerful, and it is closing in fast. Zuo Guangli stands his ground, fire sword in hand, as the snakes coil all around him. He's completely surrounded by cold energy, but he hasn't lost his fighting spirit just yet. The snakes are a total nightmare. If you cut one head off, two more grow back immediately. Zuo Guangli realizes that even a single bite will flood his body with lethal, freezing energy. Gong Yangbai exhales a concentrated blast of frost, continuously buffing the icy serpents and aiming to freeze Zuo Guangli's very soul. The sheer amount of cold energy radiating from this guy makes it clear that his cultivation base and the techniques he's unleashing are anything but ordinary. The blue snakes tighten their grip as Gong Yangbai unleashes his blood-freeze art. Zuo Guangli is being swallowed by a massive pillar of ice, his fire finally starting to flicker out. With another icy breath, the temperature drops even further, turning the battlefield into a frozen wasteland. It looks like Zuo Guangli's legendary fire might have finally met its match in this cold. Close up on our hero's face, his skin is turning pale and frost is starting to form on his brow. The freezing energy is invading his body, trying to stop his heart cold. Mo Jingyu watches from his mechanical bird, declaring Zuo Guangli powerless against their secret arts. He's already calling the fight, convinced that their legendary opponent is finally finished for good. Zuo Guangli is completely encased in a massive, jagged mountain of ice. Even the energy snakes are frozen in place, turning the entire scene into a silent, terrifying monument of death. The light pillars fade as the ice sculpture stands motionless in the ruins. It's a chilling sight, and it looks like the legendary Zuo Guangli has been defeated by his enemies. Suddenly, a weird glow starts emanating from the center of the frozen mass. The ice begins to crack under a massive surge of internal pressure, and things are about to get wild. Gong Yangbai's smug expression vanishes instantly, replaced by a look of pure shock and sweat. He cannot believe what he is seeing. Zuo Guangli should not be able to move at all. Boom, Zuo Guangli erupts out of the ice in a massive explosion of fire. He is pushing his soul to the limit, turning his own boiling blood into a weapon of absolute destruction. Mo Jingyu panics, commanding his mechanical bird to launch a barrage of razor-sharp feathers. He is throwing everything he has at Zuo Guangli, but his confidence is totally gone now. Zuo Guangli doesn't even bother dodging, showing zero flinch as he goes for a head-on, brute-force clash. His hands whip through the air, conjuring a massive disc of fire and hurling it straight at Mo Jingyu. He looks like a literal demon of flame as he prepares his lethal counterattack. A massive heatwave vaporizes every incoming projectile in a heartbeat. Zuo Guangli's searing fire beam completely incinerates Mo Jingyu's mechanical bird. That guy was lucky enough to ditch his ride and bail just in time, or he'd be a dead man walking right now. This guy gathers a concentrated ball of fire in his palm, ready to let it rip. The look in his eyes says it all. He's finishing this whole fight right now. The sky erupts into a series of massive fireballs as the battle reaches a fever pitch. Zuo Guangli is finally showing the true extent of his terrifying power against his enemies. Mo Jingyu looks on in absolute horror as his secret formation is ripped to shreds. He cannot believe his legendary 9-yin trap was defeated so easily by pure, raw flame. Glowing fire petals drift down from the clouds like a beautiful but deadly rain. This is Zuo Guangli's city scorching blazing blossoms, a technique that is as legendary as the man himself. The enemy disciples look up, confused by the strange, glowing blossoms falling around them. They have no idea they are staring death in the face as the fire starts to descend. One arrogant disciple tries to catch a petal, mocking Zuo Guangli's third-grade art. He tells his brothers to watch as he snuffs it out with just one hand like it is nothing. Big mistake, the petal explodes instantly, turning the disciple into a charred skeleton in a heartbeat. The sheer heat of Zuo Guangli's fire is way beyond anything these guys ever expected. Gong Yangbai screams at his remaining men to use their water element arts immediately. He recognizes the technique and knows they will all be vaporized if they do not create a safe zone right now. The survivors scramble to summon streams of water, trying to block the relentless rain of fire. It's a desperate struggle to stay alive against an attack that is literally melting the sky. Mo Jingyu realizes that the crazy rumors about Zuo Guangli destroying an entire city were actually true. Even at 19, our hero's power was already enough to level a whole civilization. He flings open the massive crate on his back, unleashing a swarm of mechanical birds into the smoke and fire in a desperate attempt to counter Zuo Guangli's blazing blossoms. The sky is a total chaotic mess of metal and flame as the antagonists scramble just to stay alive. Viewed from a distance, the sky looks like an absolute war zone, streaked with the golden glow of mystical arts, the fiery orange of the flames, and the dark, jagged black of flying iron. Explosions are popping off everywhere, revealing the sheer, massive scale of this high-level cultivation battle. Fire and water energy clash violently in the clouds, creating a chaotic storm of steam and light. It's a miracle the ground below hasn't been completely leveled by the falling energy yet. Rain and ash start falling on the ruined rooftops of the town below. The environmental damage from just a few moments of fighting is already beyond what anyone could have imagined. Jiang Wang watches the insanity from the ground, his eyes wide with wonder and fear. He's never seen anything this powerful and wonders who these godlike beings fighting above him are. Zuo Guangli calls upon the power of an ancient fire ancestor, manifesting an even more intense flame. His entire body glows as he prepares to end this fight once and for all. A massive, majestic fire dragon erupts from his energy, roaring as it sweeps across the battlefield. Zuo Guangli commands the beast to burn everything in its path, showing no mercy now. The enemy disciples do not stand a chance, as the dragon incinerates them where they stand. They are turned into screaming silhouettes of flame before being erased from existence entirely by the heat. The fire dragon slams directly into Mo Jingyu's mechanical bird, causing a massive, blinding explosion. The metal structure stands no chance against the divine power Zuo Guangli is currently channeling. Gong Yangbai and Mo Jingyu are sent flying by the explosion's aftershock, slamming into the earth with the impact of small meteors. The ground is turning into a scorched wasteland as the battle reaches its final, deadly stage. Scrambling to regain his footing after skidding across the cracked earth, Gong Yangbai spits out curses at his opponent. He is visibly shaken, his mind racing in shock as Zuo Guangli actually manifests the true form of an ancient fire god. Mo Jingyu stares in horror as the mechanical apparatus on his back begins to melt. His confidence is shattered into a million pieces. He mumbles curses under his breath, realizing that his family's priceless, high-end technology is utterly useless against this legendary genius. He stands on the smoking wreckage, looking totally defeated as his feathers smolder in the ash. Mo Jingyu is finally understanding that he has picked a fight with someone way out of his league. Behind his mask, his eyes are wide with pure terror as he realizes there is nowhere left to hide. Zuo Guangli is closing in, and the end is looking very near for Mo Jingyu. A foot-shaped pit of molten lava has turned the entire battlefield into a literal furnace. The technique summoned by Zuo Guangli is so searingly hot that the very earth is liquefying under the sheer pressure of their terrifying power right now. Zuo Guangli stands there covered in flames, looking like a total beast. He dares his enemies to step up, clearly done playing around and ready to end this for good. Zuo Guangli manifests the true, terrifying form of the fire god Zhurong, his energy towering over the entire battlefield. He mocks his enemies, asking how they dare boast of their lineage before him. The massive fire god slams into the ground with a thunderous impact, dwarfing Gong Yangbai and Mo Jingyu below. The sheer weight of his presence is literally cracking the earth beneath his feet. Gong Yangbai tries to keep his composure, claiming his third breath technique of profound freeze can still resist Zuo Guangli's overwhelming heat. He's clearly desperate as he forms more complex hand seals. He exhales a concentrated blast of freezing energy, but his face is pale and covered in sweat. It's becoming clear that even his most powerful ice arts are struggling against the fire god. The strain is too much, and Gong Yangbai starts coughing violently while clutching his throat. Mo Jingyu watches from the background, finally suggesting that it might be time for them to retreat. Zuo Guangli, engulfed in massive flames, laments the inevitable defeat at River Valley. He says no ocean can wash away the national shame and personal hatred he feels in this moment. Tears of fire roll down Zuo Guangli's glowing eyes as his soul burns with intense passion. The tragedy of his past and the weight of his duty are visibly tearing him apart. He laughs wildly, declaring that only he can take his own life and only Zhurong can burn his soul. He has completely surrendered himself to the destructive power of the fire god. He throws his head back, letting out a defiant roar as the flames surge even more violently. He dares anyone to step forward and take his head. But the words had barely left his mouth before karma struck instantly. A purple flash suddenly streaks across Zuo Guangli's neck. A purple streak of light flashes through the smoke and flames, cleanly severing Zuo Guangli's head. It falls to the ground, rolling several times, leaving every fighter on the field paralyzed in absolute shock. Gong Yangbai and Mo Jingyu freeze in their tracks as a chilling new presence steps onto the ruined battlefield. A colossal blast of purple energy erupts, slicing right through the heart of the battlefield. It's a completely different kind of power, far more concentrated and dense than anything ever seen before. Gong Yangbai and Mo Jingyu are forced to cover their ears, struggling to withstand the crushing pressure as their hair stands on end while the purple light rips through the dark sky. They look absolutely terrified in the face of this newcomer's arrival. A sword slides perfectly back into its scabbard with a sharp click. The precision and speed of the move suggest that the fight was decided in the blink of an eye. Mo Jingyu and Gong Yangbai look up in shock, recognizing the man floating high above the clouds. They whisper the name Li Yi, clearly familiar with this legendary figure's terrifying reputation. Li Yi, a high-ranking cultivator from the Jiang nation, lands calmly on the battlefield. He sighs and simply notes that the area has become far too noisy for his liking. Realizing the newcomer is on their side, Gong Yangbai prepares to interrogate Li Wai, demanding to know why he failed to follow the higher-ups' arrangements. But before the words could even fully leave his mouth, Li Wai spins around with a cold, murderous gaze. With a single, effortless movement, he makes both Mo Jingyu and Gong Yangbai's hearts skip a beat. They can feel the terrifying, soul-crushing gap in power between them. In a desperate bid to save his own skin, Gong Yangbai doesn't waste a single heartbeat as he rushes over to snatch up Zuo Guangli's severed head. Without exchanging a single word, Gong Yangbai and Mo Jingyu both read the room and bolt from the battlefield instantly. The arrival of Lai Engia has completely rewritten the fate of every soul left in Ha Kok. In a desolate forest, Li Yi, a high-level god-tier cultivator in pristine white robes, calmly strides towards Zuo Guangli's headless fire giant. Li Yi, a mysterious traveler with a red dot on his forehead, calmly holds a strange, dark artifact while observing the chaotic battlefield around him. The dark artifact speaks with a supernatural voice, declaring that the debt is finally settled as green light pulses from its monstrous, fanged mouth today. As soon as the words left his lips, the command medallion instantly exploded and vanished into thin air right in Li Yi's hand, marking the end of a mysterious pact. Li Yi stands there observing the headless embers of the legendary warrior in his fire giant form, as the raging flames continue to flare up, slowly incinerating every last remains of Zuo Guangli. Li Yi watches the destruction through his fingers, his pink eyes reflecting the brilliant light of the collapsing fire giant in the dark distance today. He frames the dying giant within his hand, a cold observer of the legendary warrior's final moments amidst the dark and very star-filled sky tonight. He leans to one side, savoring every second of this moment. Then, as a final mock sign-off, a sarcastic boom escapes his lips. A massive explosion of fire and light rocks the sky, as the high-level battle reaches its violent and absolute conclusion over the silent ruins here. A cold, satisfied smirk plays on Liya's lips as he surveys the aftermath, clearly unimpressed by the legendary cultivators he just slaughtered so easily. A single beam of sunlight pierces through the thick, dark clouds, illuminating the desolate ruins where a broken young man lies forgotten in the cold. Jiang Wang, an emaciated young man in tattered red robes, gasps for air as he struggles to stay conscious amidst the ruins of the abandoned temple. Our boy clenches his teeth, desperately thinking that he's not ready to die, yet despite the poison and betrayal that destroyed his entire life recently. With his last bit of strength, Jiang Wang begins to crawl through the ruined gate of the town, determined to find a way to survive now. This guy leans against a crumbling pillar, looking absolutely wrecked. 57 days of agony have turned our boy into a shadow of his former self. His footsteps are heavy and uneven as he drags his broken body forward today, driven by a burning desire for revenge against his fourth brother. Jiang Wang collapses onto the cold ground, his face pressed against the dirt as he continues to push toward the center of the battlefield this morning. He hopes to find some scrap of treasure left behind by the powerful cultivators, something that could act as his final lifeline in this wasteland. Around him lie only the gruesome remains of the fallen, shattered metal and bone fragments, but he stubbornly refuses to give up his desperate search. The poor dude looks totally devastated. Everything has turned to ash, and it seems like his last chance for survival has just disappeared into the dark void. Suddenly, he spots something strange buried in the dirt. His trembling hands immediately reach for a cracked golden pill bottle. Jiang Wang's jaw drops as his eyes widen. He can't believe his luck. A pill bottle from a high-level cultivator is right there in front of him. He pulls out a coarse, crimson pill. This is the very Meridian Opening Pill he once shed blood and sweat to obtain, only to have it snatched away by the cold-blooded greed and betrayal of his own sworn brothers. He swallows the pill without hesitation, bracing for the impact. It's a massive gamble, but it's the only way to fix his broken meridians and claw his way back. A blinding golden energy surges through his body, flushing out the toxic poison. The real work is just starting, and the pain is about to get a whole lot worse. Gold light floods his spine as the pill's power tears through the blockages. The agonizing pain is a small price for the chance to reclaim everything he lost. His spirit separates, glowing with a divine light as ancient symbols swirl around him. The Meridian Opening Pill is doing its work, reshaping his very essence for greatness. Standing alone under a blood-red sky, Jiang Wang takes his first breath of renewed life. The poison is gone, replaced by a cold, sharp clarity he's never felt. Our boy's eyes burn with a new fire. He isn't just a survivor anymore, he's a weapon of vengeance, ready to make everyone who betrayed him pay dearly. Under the gaze of a massive, burning sun, he realizes that fate is a fickle thing. One moment he was a beggar, the next, a rising legend. Night falls over the ruined temple, but the air feels completely different now. The silence is no longer heavy with the stench of death, but with the ominous weight of a coming storm. A sudden, powerful impact jolts the ground nearby. In this desolate wasteland, ripples of vibrant life continue to spread, signaling the dawn of a new beginning. This guy looks down at his bandaged, tattered hands, still unable to believe he's alive. The struggle was real, but the result is nothing short of a miracle. Jiang Wang bows his head in a silent prayer for the fallen. He promises that their sacrifices won't be in vain as he prepares to leave this graveyard. Suddenly, from beneath the earth, golden embers drift up from the grave Jiang Wang just built, as if the departed souls have finally found their peace. The energy of the battlefield remains thick with raw, untapped potential. The golden embers gradually coalesce into a strangely glowing crescent moon. Something is calling to him, a power far beyond the mortal realm that he is only just beginning to touch. The young man reaches out to snatch it, but the light continues to radiate, seeping through the gaps of his fingers. Inside Jiang Wang's palm, it feels as if he is clutching the very secrets of the universe itself. His vision sharpens, eyes glowing a deep, intense red. Every detail of the world becomes clear as his newly awakened meridians flood his senses with raw, untapped power. Suddenly, the world vanishes, and he finds himself floating in a vast, starry void. Golden rings of light pulse beneath his feet, marking this mysterious, transcendental space. A blue, glowing figure appears before him, standing perfectly still. Jiang Wang tenses up, wondering if this is another enemy or a guide to his new destiny. The holographic guide stands in the center of a massive formation. Jiang Wang approaches cautiously, his mind racing to understand where he actually is right now. A bright yellow message flashes across his vision, warning him about insufficient feedback. It's like a game interface, but the stakes here are life and death itself. He looks up at a massive list of glowing seals and platforms. The scale of this place is overwhelming, filled with levels of power he can barely comprehend yet. A golden scroll manifests, listing various simulation and discussion platforms. It's clear that he's stumbled into a legendary training ground reserved for the absolute best of the best. The force of the realm begins to pull him forward toward the glowing figure. He can't resist the attraction, feeling himself being drawn deeper into this virtual world. Their forms overlap for a brief second as the guide begins the synchronization process. Jiang Wang's eyes widen in pure shock as the system takes control. The message welcomes him as the master of the Dongzhen Su blessed land. Our boy is totally lost, having no idea what kind of insane position he's inherited. Beams of blue light erupt from his head, connecting his mind to the vast starry network above. He's being uploaded into the ultimate cultivation database of the gods. A notification pops up explaining the Takesu illusory realm. It's a perfect simulation for training where everything feels real, but without the risk of actual physical harm. Talk about the ultimate sandbox. He discovers specialized platforms for refining techniques and sparring with elite masters. This is the ultimate tool to become unstoppable, but he'll need to earn his keep through the merit system. A prompt explains that merit is earned through combat. Defeating same-level opponents increases it, while losing reduces it. Challenging stronger foes grants extra bonuses for the bold. Jiang Wang stares in disbelief as beams of blue light surround him. The system explains how the 72 blessed lands produce merit points periodically based on their rank. His current location, Dongjingsu, is ranked 23rd among the blessed lands. This prime spot produces a massive 1,850 merit points every single month. A massive celestial dial appears above our boy, marking his new territory. However, a warning flashes across the void. A challenge for his position will come in 30 days. Failure means demotion. Jiang Wang sweats, realizing he only has a month to prepare for whatever powerful master tries to snatch this blessed land from his grasp. The scene shifts back to the dark ruins of the abandoned temple. A tattered academy sign hangs precariously as the wind howls through the empty, desolate streets. Jiang Wang looks back at the wreckage one last time. While the information from the illusory realm is overwhelming, he knows he needs time to explore its true secrets. He stares at the glowing crescent moon mark on his bandaged palm. Before he can master this new power, he must return to the academy for the inner court selection. This guy clenches his fist, eyes burning with a cold fury. He silently vows to avenge the humiliation he suffered before he can truly move forward with his life. The sun shines over the prosperous maple forest city in the Zhuang Kingdom. This bustling place is a stark contrast to the ruins Jiang Wang just left behind. A sign for the Finglin Taoist Academy hangs above the entrance. This is the place where our boy's journey as a disciple first began and where his betrayal started. Jiang Wang finally returns, carrying a massive wooden crate on his back. His appearance causes an immediate stir as shocked disciples shout that he's actually back from the dead. He steps onto the academy grounds with heavy, purposeful strides. The weight of the crate seems like nothing compared to the burning desire for justice in his heart right now. Crowds of disciples part as the young man walks through the courtyard. Everyone is whispering, unable to believe the beggar who disappeared 57 days ago has finally returned. With a powerful kick, Jiang Wang sends the heavy crate flying off his back. It slams into the stone floor, signaling his arrival and his refusal to be ignored anymore. A massive, bearded guy shouts for everyone to move aside. He charges through the crowd with a wide grin, clearly thrilled to see his supposedly dead brother standing there. Du Yubu, the sworn second brother, pulls Jiang Wang into a bone-crushing hug. He laughs loudly, exclaiming that everyone thought our boy was dead and gone for good. This big dude keeps laughing, complaining that Jiang Wang made his sworn brothers worry for nothing all this time. He seems genuinely happy, but his true nature remains hidden. Ling He, the sworn eldest brother, steps forward with a gentle, relieved smile. He's a calm, steady leader who is just happy to see his third brother alive and well. A short fellow, intentionally hunching his back to play the part, saunters over to scrutinize him, joking that our young man must have struck it rich and forgotten all about his brothers. Meanwhile, the second brother, Du Yaobu, gives Jiang Wang a playful pat on the shoulder, trying to lighten the atmosphere. That hunchbacked fellow is Zhao Rucheng. He leans in close, pointing mockingly at Jiang Wang's filthy, tattered clothes. This is the sworn fifth brother, a guy who's always playful and upbeat, even in the most dire situations. This guy laughs, asking if Jiang Wang only remembered his brothers after failing to make a living in the outside world. He seems to find the whole situation quite hilarious. Zhao Rucheng fans himself, calling Jiang Wang his dear third brother with a smirk. He looks quite fancy compared to the emaciated and dirty protagonist standing before him. Du Yubu grabs Jiang Wang, hyped to go out and drink the night away. The other guys keep bickering playfully, just thrilled to finally have their brother back in one piece. Jiang Wang doesn't even crack a smile, though. His cold expression makes Ling He uneasy, and he asks what's wrong as he realizes Jiang Wang is staring intensely at something nearby. Du Yubu and the others follow Jiang Wang's gaze, wondering what has him so distracted. They can feel the tension in the air, a sharp contrast to their feigned joy. The crowd parts as another group of disciples steps forward to greet the return of the prodigal son. Among them is a face that makes Jiang Wang's blood boil with rage. Fang Pengju, the sworn fourth brother, finally shows his face with a hollow, welcoming smile. He pretends to be sick with worry, but Jiang Wang sees right through the facade of that dignified mask. Our boy stares down the man who poisoned him, his eyes like ice. He asks if Fang Pengju truly wished for his return, cutting through the layers of deceit and false brotherhood. Fang Pengju stammers, desperately insisting there must be some massive misunderstanding between them. Jiang Wang slowly strips away the mask, exposing Fang Pengju's fake concern, revealing that he was the very one who condemned his own brother to a slow and agonizing death. The surrounding disciples whisper amongst themselves, sensing the hidden meaning in Jiang Wang's sharp words. Some still believe in Fang Pengju's righteousness, unaware of the serpent standing right before them. Ling He tries to play the peacemaker, suggesting they sit down and clarify the truth together. He promises that the brothers will stand by Jiang Wang if he has been truly wronged. Jiang Wang looks down at the heavy wooden crate he brought with him from the ruins. He acknowledges his bond with the eldest brother, but laments that some would betray it for greed. Fang Pengju's eyes narrow as he warns Jiang Wang not to make baseless accusations without any proof. He's confident that he's covered his tracks perfectly, but he couldn't be more wrong. This is proof. With a powerful shout, Jiang Wang smashes the wooden crate into 1,000,000 pieces. The sudden violence of his actions leaves everyone standing in the courtyard completely stunned. Du Yubu and the other disciples gasp as they see what was hidden inside the crate. The tension reaches a breaking point as a living, breathing piece of evidence is finally revealed. A gagged and bound man rolls out from the wreckage of the crate, trembling with absolute fear. Fang Pengju's face pales as he recognizes his family's personal servant, now totally exposed. The servant, Fang Deki, groans through his gag, his eyes wide with terror as he looks at his master. He knows his life is forfeit now that his dark secret is out. Jiang Wang recounts how this servant delivered a poisoned invitation to the moon-viewing tower. He explains the cruel trap that was set for him, using wine laced with a deadly toxin. Before the servant can say a word, Fang Pengju draws his sword and strikes him down. He screams about how the servant betrayed the family by colluding with bandits to harm him. The blade pierces the servant's throat, silencing him forever in a spray of blood. It's a desperate move to bury the truth before the whole academy finds out what happened. Fang Pengju stands over the corpse, breathing heavily as he tries to maintain his facade. He tells Jiang Wang not to believe the lies of a wretched slave who wanted to survive. Jiang Wang remains unmoved, revealing that he already has a signed confession from the dead servant. He asks if his brother would like to see the written proof of his orders. The two brothers stand back to back, a divide between them that can never be bridged again. Jiang Wang declares that this deep hatred can only be settled with a final, decisive death. Fang Pengju's hand trembles on his sword hilt as he realizes he's been completely cornered. The weight of his betrayal is finally catching up to him in front of everyone. In a final act of manipulation, Fang Pengju holds out his sword and begs Jiang Wang to kill him. He cries, apologizing for the servant's actions while still pretending to be innocent. The gathered disciples are moved by this display of supposed honor, urging Jiang Wang to stop. They still believe in Fang Pengju's character, blinded by his years of calculated, hollow deception. Jiang Wang looks at the bloody blade with pure disgust, refusing the offer with two cold words. He won't let his brother die a martyr's death through such a pathetic, faked sacrifice. The rest of the brothers are totally floored, watching their group fall apart right in front of them. Tension hits a breaking point as the two rivals finally square off for real. Jiang Wang draws his sword, telling Fang Pengju his blade is way too filthy for his liking. If he's going to finish this, he's doing it with his own hands. Fang Pengju's eyes widen in absolute terror as his carefully constructed lies crumble into dust. Realizing his life is on the line, the once arrogant fourth brother is reduced to a pathetic, trembling mess. In a flash of crimson light, Jiang Wang unleashes a devastating strike that leaves his sworn brothers utterly speechless. This sword stroke marks the end of his path as a mediocre academy disciple. Close-up of the eyes of those involved. A blade flashes through the air as the tension hits its peak. Everyone is watching, breath held, as the final moment approaches. Fang Pengju, struck by a sudden wave of panic, collapses to the ground and tries to crawl away as Jiang Wang sends his sword flying. A single killing blow would be far too easy for a lowlife like him. What Jiang Wang truly carves through is the hypocritical mask of righteousness that Fang Pengju has been hiding behind. Du Yubu and the other brothers can't believe their eyes. They knew Jiang Wang was serious, but this level of hatred is shocking. They are starting to realize there's no going back. Fang Pengju looks like he's seen a ghost. He tries to play the Brotherhood card, asking if Jiang Wang really doesn't care about their past. Talk about a pathetic last-ditch effort. Jiang Wang tells him to shut his mouth. Using the word brother after what he did is just insulting. He stands there like a reaper, ready to settle the score for good. Our boy looks at the traitor with cold resolve. He knows if he died that day, the story would have ended. But he's alive, and every single debt must be repaid. Fang Pengju is still trying to deflect, acting like he's the one being reasonable. He asks if Jiang Wang has victim delusions, even though he literally tried to kill him for a pill. This guy is so stubborn it's actually annoying. He claims he owes Jiang Wang nothing and refuses to admit his betrayal. At this point, talking is just a massive waste of time. Jiang Wang closes his eyes for a second, done with the excuses. He turns away, ready to make his move. He's finished arguing with a man who has no soul left. Taking a step forward and bowing deeply before the ancestral master's spiritual tablet, he makes a solemn vow. This hatred will not fade until justice is served. He offers up this battle as a formal judgment for the traitor's crimes. He stands alone before the massive statue, requesting a death duel of Tao judgment. It's a high-stakes move that catches everyone's attention. He's putting his life on the line for justice. The courtyard is packed as the news spreads. Everyone is gathering to witness a duel that only happens when someone has been pushed to the absolute edge. The air is thick with anticipation. Jiang Wang grips his sword, his expression harder than stone. By the laws of the Institute, Fang Pengju can't refuse this challenge. There's no running away from the consequences this time. Fang Pengju calls him a lunatic, but you can see the fear creeping into his eyes. He finally realizes that the guy he betrayed isn't the same person he used to know. Suddenly, the wind picks up and leaves start swirling everywhere. The crowd panics, wondering what's happening. Something big is coming, and the atmosphere in the courtyard shifts in an instant. Both fighters look up, sensing a massive presence descending upon them. The duel is being interrupted by someone with serious power. The real authority of the academy has finally arrived. A figure appears right out of the sun, floating down like a god. The sheer pressure coming off this person is enough to make anyone's legs shake. This is getting intense. Din Dong An lands with total grace, wearing a mask that makes him look even more intimidating. He's the head of the institute, and he's not here to just watch. Everyone immediately bows, greeting the Grandmaster with total respect. He acknowledges the request for a death duel of Dao judgment. The rules are about to be set in stone. Din Dong An looks on, his gaze piercing through the courtyard. He officially establishes the duel, making it a sanctioned event. One of them is not walking out of this alive. He begins to channel his energy, calling forth the jade cage. This is a high-level barrier that ensures nobody can interfere. Once it's up, the fighters are locked in their own world. With a simple command, he orders the barrier to rise. His power is on a completely different level compared to the students. You can practically feel the energy vibrating in the air. Massive vines and roots explode from the ground, tearing through the stone tiles. Fang Pengju scrambles back in shock as the courtyard is transformed into a literal cage of nature. These vines grow at an insane speed, twisting around to form a massive dome. It's a wild move that leaves everyone speechless. Seriously, this living prison is just about finished. The jade cage finally snaps shut, trapping our boy and his traitorous brother inside. It's officially a showdown. Now everything comes down to which one of them is the better fighter. Jiang Wang and Fang Pengju stand isolated within the massive jade cage. Outside, the crowd watches in silence, knowing only one of them will walk out alive from this sanctioned death duel. The sheer scale of the power of Din Dong An is on full display as the vines tower over the courtyard. Within this living prison, our boy prepares to finally settle. Fang Pengju starts sweating buckets, realizing he's truly trapped. He knows if the dean is watching, he can't just cheat his way out of this duel. Escape is now his only option. He frantically tries to flee, but in an instant, even more roots erupt from the ground. The environment itself is transforming into a weapon, forcing him to engage in this life-and-death confrontation. A sharp vine lunges toward his face, barely missing his eye. The pressure is mounting, and the crowd can see that Fang Pengju is already starting to lose his cool completely. This guy slowly begins to accept the harsh reality. He thought he could outsmart everyone, but Din Dong An's barrier is far more brutal than he ever imagined. Din Dong An doesn't waste any time, commanding them to draw their weapons. He's the law here, and he wants to see this grudge settled properly according to the ancient rules. Using his vines, Din Dong An hurls the sword back to Fang Pengju. The time for empty talk is over. It is finally time for these two former brothers to let the cold steel do the speaking. Fang Pengju grips his sword tight, his knuckles turning white. He's trying to hide his fear behind a mask of aggression, but anyone can see he's rattled by the high stakes. The Grandmaster gives the signal to begin. His voice rings out across the courtyard, officially starting the bloodiest lesson these students will ever witness. There is no turning back now. The audience is buzzing with excitement and dread. They can't believe two top-ranked students are actually going to kill each other. This isn't just a regular school sparring match anymore. Du Yubu looks absolutely stunned by the intensity of the scene. The brothers realize that the personal intervention of Din Dong An means there's no room for them to help anymore. Leaves swirl around the two fighters as they face off. Jiang Wang stands perfectly still, a stark contrast to the nervous energy radiating from the man who betrayed him so cruelly. Fang Pengju tries one last time to guilt-trip him, asking why things had to get this extreme. But our boy isn't listening to any more lies. He's here for vengeance. This creep shouts about his desire for power, trying to justify his betrayal. He's convinced himself that stabbing his brother in the back was just a necessary step for his growth. He lunges forward, sword raised high for a crushing blow. It's a desperate attack, fueled by the realization that he's cornered and has to fight his way out of this mess. Jiang Wang remains ice-cold, telling the traitor to shut up. He's done listening to the nonsense. Today, the only thing Fang Pengju is going to receive is a cold piece of steel. Fang Pengju whirls back after the first exchange, mocking Jiang Wang's composed expression. He loathes his opponent's calmness, even in the face of death. It drives him absolutely mad with rage. Suddenly, a massive surge of energy erupts from the traitor. He's tapping into the power he stole, showing everyone the results of the pill he took from his brother's hands. The brothers gasp as they realize what's happening. Fang Pengju actually managed to open his Dao meridians. The weight of his betrayal becomes even heavier now that the truth is out. This guy grins like a maniac, gloating about his new power. He thinks his superior energy will make him untouchable, laughing at the idea that Jiang Wang could ever hope to win. Jiang Wang takes a heavy step forward, the ground practically vibrating under his feet. He doesn't look intimidated by the show of force. In fact, he seems even more determined now. He begins to radiate his own terrifying aura, revealing the true cost of that pill. He survived absolute hell to get it, and he's not about to let it be stolen. Jiang Wang stares down the traitor, his eyes cold and mocking. He asks if that stolen pill was even worth it, showing off a level of power no one saw coming. Fang Pengju's jaw hits the floor. He thought he'd left our boy for dead, but seeing him back and stronger than ever is a total nightmare. Things are about to explode. The two clash in a blur of steel and sparks. Jiang Wang isn't holding back, matching every strike with cold precision. The crowd can barely keep up with the speed of their duel. Fang Pengju grits his teeth, feeling the weight of the sword of his rival. He thought the pill would make this easy, but Jiang Wang's resolve is on a whole different level. Scrambling back, this guy is losing his mind. He can't understand how someone he left for dead managed to open their meridians. The panic is finally starting to set in properly. Blood splatters as the fight gets grittier. Fang Pengju is sweating buckets, trying to find an opening, but our boy is like a wall of iron. There's nowhere left for him to run. The traitor tries to convince himself he still has the upper hand. He thinks if he just drags this out, the injuries of Jiang Wang will eventually catch up to him. They trade blow after blow in a dizzying sequence of strikes. Every clash sends shockwaves through the courtyard. It's clear that neither of them is planning on leaving this cage alive. Din Dong An watches the slaughter from his vantage point, looking completely unbothered. He knows the rules of the academy must be upheld, no matter how bloody the outcome might be. Du Yubu cheers on his third brother, while the other disciples watch in silence. They can tell that the Dao meridians of Jiang Wang are something completely out of the ordinary. The duel reaches a fever pitch as they dance across the massive roots. Every movement is a gamble with death, and the air is thick with the scent of blood and sweat. As Jiang Wang leaps into the air to deliver a crushing blow, Fang Pengju thinks he's finally spotted a fatal flaw in his opponent's technique. Seeing Jiang Wang's movement so exposed and his flank wide open, he prepares to launch a counterattack. The steel flashes just inches from the traitor's face. He thrusts his blade straight, aiming for Jiang Wang's exposed flank. A sudden, violent strike draws blood, painting the scene in a visceral red. What the other disciples witness is Fang Pengju's blade plunging straight into the protagonist's abdomen. Fang Pengju mocks him with a smug, triumphant grin. But it's all just a calculated bait, a classic move of sacrificing a pawn to capture the king, as Jiang Wang swings his blade directly toward Fang Pengju's arm. A sickening crunch echoes through the jade cage as a blade finds its mark. The sound of tearing flesh is unmistakable, and the tide of the battle shifts for good. The scream of Fang Pengju rings out as his defense is shattered. He looks at his mangled hand in total disbelief, realizing that his dreams of power are turning into a nightmare. Jiang Wang doesn't give him a second to breathe, lunging forward with eyes glowing a terrifying red. He looks like a demon possessed by the spirit of vengeance and absolute hatred. He delivers a brutal elbow strike directly to the traitor's chest, shattering his bones to finally shut that filthy mouth. Even though it was a simple physical strike, the force behind it was so immense that it sent Fang Pengju flying right off the dueling platform. The moment Fang Pengju is sent flying out of the arena, the vines from Din Dong An's everlasting entwinement technique instantly tighten. This battlefield only permits one to leave once the other is dead. These vines hurl him back into the center. The traitor lies broken among the roots, gasping for his final breaths. He looks up to see the figure of Jiang Wang approaching him like a judge ready to deliver the ultimate sentence. Jiang Wang grips the hilt and slowly withdraws the blade from his body, his face darkened by the shadow of the agony and psychological trauma of the past 2 months. He has waited for this exact moment through 57 days of unendurable suffering. Standing over his fallen enemy, his cold and painless expression is like a blade piercing through the heart of the one who stole his future. The execution is about to begin, and no one can stop it. Fang Pengju's eyes widen as he finally realizes the truth. Jiang Wang purposely showed a weakness just to lure him in. He's been outplayed on every single level by his rival. Jiang Wang lunges forward, ready to end this. He shouts that it's finally time for payback, his blade aimed right at the traitor who ruined everything. This is it. Fang Pengju completely breaks down, crying and begging for mercy he doesn't deserve. But Jiang Wang's expression is cold. He isn't about to let this guy off the hook now. Fang Pengju staggers back toward the edge of the arena. He looks like a cornered beast, realizing that his betrayal has finally come at the most brutal price. He turns around only to find there is no way back. Beneath him lies the edge of the abyss, waiting for his very soul. Desperate and broken, Fang Pengju wails for help. He tries to use his status as a descendant of the powerful Fang family to beg Din Dong An for a shred of mercy. Din Dong An remains stone-faced, his eyes cold and detached. He reminds the traitor that in a fight to the death, only the victor has the right to decide the loser's fate. Jiang Wang looms over his former brother, his sword glinting under the pale light. The air is thick with the scent of blood and the heavy weight of an impending final judgment. The traitor continues his pathetic display, begging for a chance to explain himself. He's shaking with fear, hoping that his third brother still has a small spark of compassion left inside. Our protagonist isn't moved by the tears. He looks down with a face as hard as stone, granting the man one last chance to speak before the end finally arrives for him. Fang Pengju screams about the pressure of his family and his father's hopes. He justifies his theft by claiming he had no choice if he wanted to reach the peak of cultivation. He cries about his sleepless nights and fakes a deep regret for his actions. He has the audacity to call Jiang Wang his brother, pleading for forgiveness just one single time. Jiang Wang doesn't say another word. He raises his blade high into the air, the cold steel reflecting the swirling leaves as he prepares to deliver the final strike of vengeance. The sword descends with a sickening thud, piercing through the chest of the traitor. Blood sprays across the stone as the life of Fang Pengju begins to fade away into nothingness. A close-up of the killing blow shows the grim reality of the duel. The man who stole his brother's future is now gasping his final breaths on the cold, hard ground. Jiang Wang stands over the body, his expression unreadable. He speaks of the 57 days of pure agony he endured, proving that some wounds can never be healed by simple words. With a final, chilling sentence, he tells his enemy to rest in peace. The debt has been paid in full, and the ghost of his past has finally been laid to rest. Suddenly, something changes within him. His eyes widen as a strange energy surges through his body. He can feel his Tao meridians becoming more agile and powerful than ever before. He finds himself in a spiritual void, questioning the nature of his true spirit. A glowing, golden line of energy twists and turns before his eyes, taking a familiar, humble shape. A small, glowing earthworm crawls across the face of Jiang Wang. It's a bizarre sight, but he realizes this modest creature is the true manifestation of his hidden Tao potential. He holds the tiny Tao spirit in his palm, realizing that it was this humble entity that stimulated his power during the heat of the battle. His journey is only beginning. Snapping back to reality, our hero looks stunned by the revelation. He has not only survived, but evolved into something much greater than anyone at the academy could have possibly predicted. Din Dong An steps forward, ending the spectacle. He commands Jiang Wang to follow him to the Jingxi while ordering the other stunned disciples to leave the scene of the execution. The brothers watch in silence as Jiang Wang walks away. Du Yubu, Ling He, and Zhao Rucheng are left to process the fact that their world has changed forever today. The scene shifts to a peaceful garden, far from the violence of the courtyard. But the conversation between the dean and his student is anything but calm and lighthearted. Inside the quiet hall, Dean Dong An questions the lack of public evidence. Jiang Wang admits that he knew the traitor would reveal the truth himself before facing his death. The dean scolds Jiang Wang for being reckless. He argues that the Dao court should have handled the traitor instead of letting a student take the law into his own hands. Our boy explains he was just desperate. With the selection only 2 days away, he couldn't let that traitor become the dean's disciple and become totally untouchable by the law. Dean Dong An asks about the pill Fang Pengju used and where Jiang Wang got his own. Our hero begins his explanation, starting with the events at Huenzhen Temple. Jiang Wang describes finding a Meridian Opening Pill within the corpse of the fallen senior, Zuo Guangli. The memory of that dark discovery hangs heavy in the air. He explains that the graves at the temple can serve as proof. Internally, he decides to keep the secret of the Taixu illusory realm hidden from even the dean. The dean is absolutely livid that a war was brazenly fought on Zhuang Nation territory. He slams his fist down, outraged by the shame such an act brings to their country. Jiang Wang swallows hard, the physical and emotional exhaustion of the day finally starting to catch up with him. He's said enough, and now he waits for the dean's final word. Dean Dong An softens his gaze slightly and tells the boy he can now officially call himself a disciple of the institution. With that, he dismisses him from the hall. Bowing deeply, Jiang Wang expresses his gratitude to his teacher. The weight of his past seems a little lighter now that he has finally achieved his goal of becoming a true disciple. As he steps out into the sunlight, a voice calls out to him. It's Zhao Rucheng running toward him with a look of concern and excitement on his face. Surprised to see his junior brother, Jiang Wang immediately asks where the other 2 senior brothers have gone. His face looks exhausted and worn out after the long days of hardship and the brutal duel. Zhao Rucheng explains that Ling He has gone to return the body of the traitor to the Fang family, while Du Yubu has completely vanished from the scene. Jiang Wang looks down sadly, knowing that his second brother is likely drinking away his sorrows. He understands the complicated feelings that come with the death of a former friend. Zhao Rucheng tries to lighten the mood, insisting that traitors deserve their fate. He invites Jiang Wang to the 3 Fragrances pavilion to relax and have some flower wine. Our protagonist politely declines the offer, stating that he is simply too exhausted to celebrate. All he wants now is to return to his dormitory and sleep for days. With a playful sigh, Zhao Rucheng opens his fan and prepares to head off to see Miss Maya Oyu alone. Jiang Wang walks away, appreciative of the good intentions of his friend. Standing before the massive doors of the chamber, Jiang Wang crushes a solitary autumn leaf beneath his feet. He has endured nearly 2 months of agony, and now the time has come to settle the score once and for all. He gazed ahead with a cold, distant look. In just a few months, his entire world had flipped upside down, turning a once promising disciple into a man seeking bloody retribution. The chamber doors swing wide open. His mind drifts back to a simpler time when he was just a child, innocent and small, standing at the threshold before his entire world came crashing down. The memories of his brothers filled his head. They were all together in the dorms, laughing and joking around like nothing could ever break their bond. It felt like a lifetime ago. Ling He smiled warmly, reminding the others to be gentle during their roughhousing. He was always the steady one, trying to keep their chaotic little group from actually hurting each other. The muscular Du Yehu laughed as he trapped Zhao Rucheng in a massive bear hug. The poor guy complained about the stench, but it was all just typical brotherhood nonsense back then. Even Fang Pengju seemed different then, grinning widely while polishing his blade by the fire. It's hard to believe this same dude would eventually stab his own brother in the back. Back in the present, a single tear rolled down Jiang Wang's face. He knew there was no turning back now. The bond was broken, and only one of them would survive today. He remembered the night a glowing immortal descended from the sky. The old man praised his nature and offered him a chance to cultivate, a dream every kid in this world shared. But he wasn't alone. Young Fang Pengju stood beside him as a blue spectral memory, both kids looking up in awe. They hoped to start their journey toward immortality together that night. Jiang Wang smiled, suggesting they could both go and train as a team. He was too kind-hearted to realize that the Path of Cultivation rarely had room for two people at once. The immortal's face remained stony and indifferent as he spoke. He dropped a bombshell, coldly stating he'd only accept one disciple, turning their lifelong friendship into a desperate, deadly competition. Before he could react, Fang Pengju's expression twisted with sudden malice. The boy lunged forward, shoving Jiang Wang off the cliff's edge while screaming for him to just go ahead and die. The world blurred as he plummeted into the dark depths below. A massive splash echoed through the silence, the cold water swallowing him whole as Fang Pengju watched from above. He sank deeper into the abyss, bubbles escaping his lips as his vision faded. It was his first real taste of betrayal, a cold lesson learned at the very bottom of the lake. The immortal's spectral face loomed over him, delivering a harsh truth. He explained that cultivation isn't just about talent. It's a brutal fight where only those with cruel hearts truly survive. Jiang Wang bolted upright in bed, a strangled cry escaping his throat. His eyes were wide with terror, the memories of that old nightmare still clinging to him like a shroud. He sat there trembling, clutching his head as sweat poured down his chest. He tried to steady his breathing, but the echoes of the immortal's words kept ringing in his ears. Stepping out onto the balcony, he looked up at the full moon. He slept way longer than intended, and a strange, heavy silence hung over the academy dorms that night. He spotted a junior brother standing alone in the courtyard and called out to him. He asked if anyone had seen Linghe, but the other student didn't move or respond. The figure slowly turned, and Jiang Wang's blood ran cold. The student's face was a blackened, rotting mess, his eyes vacant as he stared back with a terrifying, hollow expression. Suddenly, the student's head began to spin with a sickening crack. It rotated faster and faster, completely ignoring the limits of human bone and muscle while a dark aura flared up. With a final, violent snap, the head tore free from the neck and went flying. Jiang Wang recoiled in shock, his heart hammering against his ribs at the gruesome, impossible sight. The headless body just stood there swaying while the severed head rolled across the stone tiles. This was no prank. Something demonic was here, and it was just getting started. Jiang Wang dashed across the floor, screaming for everyone to run. The monsters were officially inside, and our boy knew he had to scramble for higher ground to survive this mess. The severed head of the student cackled, its red eyes bulging as it floated in the night air. It was a gruesome sight, teeth bared and tongue lolling out in a sickening display. In the depths of sheer terror, Jiang Wang stumbles, a stroke of luck, as the demonic head slams into the very spot he had just occupied. He is struggling to hold his ground, his body trembling under the crushing pressure of relentless movement. He gritted his teeth, sweat dripping down his face as he realized the entire area was sealed off. There was no way back to his room. He was trapped out here with a monster. The headless body lunged forward, the severed head floating above it like a morbid balloon. It let out a piercing, unnatural scream that echoed through the dark courtyard, chilling him to the bone. Trapped, our boy had no choice but to activate his origin Tao. A golden orb of light erupted from the circular chart in his mind, providing a desperately needed surge of spiritual power. Empowered by a sudden surge of strength, he flings himself forward, sweeping his leg in a powerful kick aimed straight at the head. He roars a challenge as the demonic head is sent hurtling back into its corpse with devastating force. But the counterattack came at a price. Jiang Wang gasped in pain as a bloody hole appeared in his foot, the injury throbbing with a dark, stinging sensation that made him stumble. He dropped into a low crouch, clutching his wounded ankle while his eyes darted around for the next threat. His breath came in ragged gasps, his vision blurred by the sudden agony. Things got even creepier when the monster ripped its own chest open. A skeletal face grinned from within its ribcage, mocking him for thinking an outer courtyard disciple could actually win this. The severed head cackled again, its black-clawed fingers digging into its own rotting skin. It spoke of how delicious the flesh of a cultivator would be, making his stomach churn with disgust. Staring at the monster from a distance, Jiang Wang knew he was completely outmatched. He couldn't win this fight alone. The gap in their strength was just too wide for him to overcome. He turned and sprinted through the dark alleys, his heart hammering against his ribs. He had to reach the inner courtyard and warn the others before more students ended up dead tonight. He slammed into an invisible wall, his hands pressing against the glowing green barrier. The seal was solid, trapping him within the dormitory area as the monster slowly closed in from behind. Gritting his teeth, he consumes the very last drop of Tao essence. He is utterly spent. Without it, there isn't a shred of hope left. He stares fixedly at his trembling hands, wondering if he still possesses the strength to make a breakthrough and claw his way back from the brink of death. Taking a desperate gamble, he poured every last bit of energy into one final strike. The barrier shattered like glass, blue shards flying everywhere as he forced his way through the seal. He performs a series of rapid-fire flips. He is pushing himself to the absolute limit, his muscles screaming for him to stop. He skidded to a halt, looking up in shock as a calm voice rang out from the darkness. Someone had been watching his struggle, and they didn't seem particularly impressed by it. Li Jiangqiu, a high-ranking inner courtyard student, stood atop a jagged rock. He looked down with an indifferent gaze, his long hair fluttering as he commented on our boy's desperate escape. Right then, the dean appeared. Dean Dong-an stood tall, his gray beard and gold crown gleaming in the moonlight as he prepared to handle the situation personally with his overwhelming power. Jiang Wang collapsed to his knees, quickly informing the dean about the corpse-controlling demon. He pointed back toward the dorms, his voice shaking as he explained that a student was already dead. The dean didn't waste any time, pointing his finger toward the ground. Dozens of glowing green petals began to swirl around, infused with a powerful energy that felt both ancient and incredibly sharp. A green vine shot forward, piercing the bloody wound on Jiang Wang's foot. He gasped as the poison sting swallow technique went to work, its energy surging through his veins like wildfire. He gritted his teeth against the pain, sweat pouring down his chin as a green pod emerged from the wound. It sucked the dark corpse poison right out of his system instantly. Jiang Wang let out a shaky breath as the sharp pain in his foot finally started to fade. He looked up, pale but relieved the poison was out of his system. Dean Dong-an spotted a dark figure leaping across the night sky. This guy wasn't about to let the monster escape after it just killed his students in cold blood. Dean Dong-an didn't hold back, instantly unleashing his jade cage technique to seal off the area. The ground erupted with massive, gnarled roots that sought to crush everything in their path. Giant vines coiled around the academy buildings like prehistoric snakes, glowing faintly under the moonlight. The once peaceful dorms had turned into a literal jungle of death within seconds. The white bone envoy completely lost it, realizing he'd massively screwed up by alerting a powerhouse like Dong-an. He scrambled backwards, his skeletal face twisted in a look of pure panic. Knowing they were outmatched, the monsters decided to split up and flee. They lunged in opposite directions, hoping at least one of them could escape the dean's overwhelming spiritual pressure. This skeletal creep scurried across the rooftops like a cockroach, his eyes darting around for a way out. He knew that if the dean made a move, he'd be finished instantly. Behind him, the vines converge into a massive sphere of gnarled wood and jagged energy. It twists and coils with lethal precision, utterly crushing the recaptured, headless corpse. The envoy managed to scramble further away, already planning his next move. He'd seen enough to report back that Jiang Wang was just a normal priest who happened to open his meridians. He casts one final glance back at the academy, his hand raised high, a silent farewell to the walls that once held his life. In a sudden strike, vines erupt violently from the earth, slamming directly into his face. The horrific impact sends a tremor through the very grounds of the academy, a grim signal that the dean is far from finished with him. It turns out the very gate of the academy is a summoned beast of the dean. It awakens, hovering midair as two massive wooden arms sprout from its frame, intercepting anyone who dares to pass. The skeletal head was sent spinning from a direct hit, dark fluid spraying into the air. He couldn't believe he was still within range of the dean's terrifying reach even after running. In a desperate final attempt to escape, the messenger tries to leap in another direction. But out of nowhere, a carnivorous flower lunges forward, snapping him up as he freezes in utter shock. That's it. It's over. Dean Dong-an stood atop a massive vine, looking like a total boss as he commanded the area. He mocked the insignificant underling for thinking they could act wildly in his territory. The night sky was dominated by the sight of the Dean's giant wooden constructs. It was a clear message to any dark sect: if you come here to cause trouble, you'll regret it. The Dean loomed over the trapped creature, demanding to know who sent it. The monster just laughed nervously, begging for mercy while clearly hiding a much darker secret behind its teeth. The skeletal head grinned wickedly, its bulging eyes staring back at the Dean with zero remorse. He claimed he'd only spill his secrets once they both reached the netherworld together. Realizing the man intended to take everyone down with him, the Dean, with a simple flick of his finger, commanded the monstrous flower to snap shut. The creature fell silent instantly, its dark energy extinguished by his superior cultivation and absolute control. Dean Dong An stood tall, fuming that a prodigy like Jiang Wang was almost killed on his watch. He wasn't about to let this slide. Someone was going to pay for this invasion. He ordered his student, Li Jiankyu, to wrap things up while he headed to the city lord's mansion for answers. He needed to know how these monsters breached the city's defenses. Down below, Jiang Wang watched in awe as the Dean handled the situation. He realized just how massive the gap was between himself and a true fifth-grade powerhouse of the nation. Suddenly, Zhao Rucheng appeared out of nowhere and grabbed his shoulder. The guy looked worried sick, asking why his third brother was back and if he'd seen the others yet. Instead of being serious, Zhao Rucheng immediately started bawling like a baby. He complained that he'd waited at the Three Fragrance Tower all day and never even saw Miss Maya Oyu once. This guy wouldn't stop crying, practically leaning his entire weight on Jiang Wang while he ranted. Jiang Wang just sighed, asking if he'd seen where their older brothers had gone off to. Walking through the courtyard, the guys overheard some grim rumors. Turns out the monster attack wasn't just a scare. At least one disciple didn't make it out of the chaos alive. They headed for the riverbank as the weight of the situation finally sank in. Jiang Wang figured the others were waiting there, still reeling from the shock of Fang Pengju's betrayal. The three brothers gathered at the Green Willow riverbank, standing beneath a weeping willow as the moon hung high. Ling He sighed, admitting that things had turned out exactly as he'd expected. He turned to face Zhao Rucheng and Jiang Wang, his eyes full of a heavy sadness. Even the boisterous Du Yubu stood silent in the background, the weight of the night pressing down on them. Ling He looked out over the dark water, musing on how the only constant in the world was change. This was where they used to practice their swordplay, never imagining it would become a burial ground. There, amidst the rocks and dirt, stood a simple tombstone. It bore the name of Fang Pengju, the brother who had betrayed them and paid for it with his life earlier that night. Ling He explained that he couldn't let Pengju's body rot in the wilderness because of the help he'd once received. He asked Jiang Wang if he was angry, but our boy just shook his head. They lit a fire to burn spirit money, the orange flames flickering against the cold night air. It was a final farewell to a friendship that had been shattered by greed and blood. Jiang Wang looked at the grave with a cold, clear gaze. He told Ling He that while he wouldn't interfere with his elder brother's feelings, his own ties with Pengju were officially severed forever. Ling He nodded slowly, accepting the truth of the situation. There was no going back to the way things were before the betrayal, and they all had to live with the consequences now. As they walked away from the grave and under the stone bridge, Ling He spoke about the fear that comes with change. The future felt uncertain and dangerous after everything they'd witnessed tonight. Trying to lighten the mood, Zhao Rucheng started pestering Du Yubu. He leaned in close, his fan in hand, begging the big guy to let him see his face under the moonlight. Rucheng burst out laughing, mocking Du Yubu for crying like a little baby over their fallen brother. The big man's face turned red with rage, calling the younger boy a stinky brat. Du Yubu didn't hold back, launching a kick that sent Rucheng scrambling across the muddy bank. The boy screamed for his other brothers to save him as he was chased through the water. Ling He watched them with a faint smile, nodding that people should be allowed to change as they wished. He compared it to a gentle breeze brushing over a mountain ridge, natural and unstoppable. He looked back at Jiang Wang, reminding him that as long as they stayed true to their own hearts, they could face whatever the future held. It was a lesson in resilience and character. Jiang Wang took those words to heart, his expression softening as he thought about what it meant to have an unwavering, pure heart. It was a goal he intended to strive for. They continued their walk by the river, their footsteps light on the damp earth. The sound of the flowing water was the only thing breaking the silence as they found their peace. The brothers spent the rest of the night playfully fighting in the river, their laughter echoing under the full moon. For a brief moment, the pain of the betrayal was pushed aside. Far away from the academy, the moon shone over a ruined gate that looked like it had been abandoned for centuries. A low, haunting wind whistled through the crumbling stone pillars. Inside the shadows of the ruins, thick cobwebs covered the old wooden beams. A single, pale hand rested on a table, the long nails glinting in the faint light filtering through the roof. A beautiful woman in a flowing red robe sat perched on the edge of the table. She seemed perfectly at home in the decay, her presence bringing a chilling elegance to the ruins. Outside the gate, a raspy voice called out, breaking the silence of the wasteland. Someone else had arrived at this secret meeting spot, and they didn't seem happy about the location. The white bone envoy stepped into the light, covering his mouth with a blood-stained handkerchief. He looked around the dusty ruins with clear disdain, his skeletal jaw tightening as he spoke. This skeletal scout of the white bone Dao coughed incessantly, complaining about how filthy and disgusting the hideout was. He clearly preferred much cleaner environments for his dark dealings. The woman in red just smirked, her fingers tracing her own lips as she retorted. She noted that since the Zhuang nation had searched this place 10 times, it was actually quite safe. The white-boned saintess stood up, her long black hair cascading down her back. She could still sense the majestic aura of Zuo Guangli, the legendary genius who had died in this very spot. The white-bone envoy mentions they have business to settle with City Lord Wei Kuji and Master Dong Ah. They need to find the child of Dao as soon as possible before things get risky. The saintess Maioyu suggests that instead of hunting mortals, it would be much faster to just capture a few cultivators for the sacrifice. Maioyu warns the envoy to keep a low profile. If they mess this up before the child of Dao appears, the white-bone Dao's entire plan will be ruined. Standing amidst the ruins of a temple, Maioyu notes that this place was just a decoy. The elders already have the real plan in motion. She looks back, mentioning she caught a familiar scent at that ruined Taoist temple in Maplewood City. The skeletal envoy doesn't care about the lives of beggars. He's only focused on the mission. As he vanished into the ground, the envoy warned Maioyu not to be arrogant. He told her not to think that just because she was chosen as the woman of the child of Dao, she had the right to act recklessly. But she was fully aware of that fact. She wondered to herself whether the child of Dao would even recognize her after all these years of weary waiting. Meanwhile, at the academy, Master Song Kifeng is giving a lecture on the profound nature of the Dao. The students are listening intently as the master explains how the Dao precedes even the emperor. Of course, not everyone is focused. One student is busy pranking a classmate who fell asleep during the lecture. Master Song explains that true cultivation only begins when you can channel energy to create Dao essence. The spine, known as the Tangshan Palace, is the key to it all. A diagram of the spine glows, showing the path to the gate of heaven. Song asks if any disciple can name the 9 ranks of cultivation. Like a model student, Ling He raised his hand and confidently listed them all with perfect accuracy, from the 9th rank Wandering Veins to the 1st rank Yandao Realm. Song is impressed. He explains that reaching the 9th rank is the first step of transcendence, marked by establishing a Dao spiral. He brings out a scroll for the Giyuan array, the foundational diagram they all need to master. To make the spiral emerge, a cultivator has to arrange 81 formation points within their Tangshan Palace. Meanwhile, Jiang Wang's 2 sworn brothers continue to mess around with each other. Zhang Linchuan watches the scene unfold, but says nothing. Master Song explains that an average person can only channel energy twice a day, obtaining just 2 Dao essences. While still speaking, Master Song unleashed 2 powerful palm strikes directly at the mischievous pair, sending Jiang Wang's 2 brothers tumbling to the ground. As the 2 of them obediently returned to their seats, Master Song continued. If a person works diligently every day, it will still take at least 41 days just to lay the foundation for the array. Advancing to the 8th rank requires building 3 Dao spirals to complete a minor cycle. By rank 7, 9 Dao spirals are needed to see the gate of heaven. This is the Tongshan realm. A diagram shows the steep requirements for each rank. It's a massive amount of work just to reach the middle tiers. Jiang Wang listens in silence, clearly doing the math on how long his own journey will take. After doing the math, Jiang Wang felt a wave of dizziness wash over him. At a rate of only 2 Dao essences a day, the 7th rank felt like a distant dream, a lifetime away. Linghe explains to his friend that talent and fate can speed things up, so the math isn't always that simple. Thanks to Linghe's hint, the truth finally dawned on Jiang Wang. While Master Dong was hailed as a genius for hitting the 5th rank before 60, legends like Zuo Guangli were on a whole different, terrifying level. Jiang Wang looks at the images of those top-tier cultivators, wondering if he can ever hope to surpass them. Master Song concludes the lesson and assigns some homework, telling them to review the basics. Jiang Wang considers the tiers of Dao techniques, from the basic C rank up to the top. Immediately, he was mocked by his younger brother, Zhao Rucheng, who joked that beyond the A rank, there are other levels that are far more superior. Song mentions that anyone who masters a superior rank technique would have the power to destroy a small country alone. The mention of such overwhelming power has every student in the room listening with rapt attention. He tells them to encourage each other and bring glory to the nation before finally dismissing the class. As the students start to leave, the hall begins to empty out. Jiang Wang is walking out when someone calls his name, asking him to stay for a moment. It's Fang Helling. He introduces himself as the son of the Fang family patriarch and claims he's there to apologize for Fang Pengju's betrayal. He says their family has already removed the traitor from their tree, wanting to distance himself from the scandal. Jiang Wang doesn't seem interested in the olive branch. He just tells Helling that everything is in the past and moves on. Helling is stunned that he was brushed off so easily. He calls out again, clearly annoyed that Jiang Wang is in such a hurry to leave him behind. Fang Helling keeps on bragging, mentioning his father bought him an expensive Meridian Opening Pill. He suggests that since they're the only ones in the inner courtyard whose Dao meridians have appeared, they should probably stick together. Jiang Wang doesn't even look at him. He just walks right past, bumping Helling's shoulder and telling him flat out that he's not interested. Helling is absolutely fuming. He clenches his fist, shocked that a talentless beggar like Jiang Wang would have the nerve to ignore him. The scene shifts to a quiet night as the full moon hangs high in the sky. While most people are sleeping, Jiang Wang's sworn brothers, Du Yubu and Linghe, are pushing themselves to the limit with their breathing exercises. Jiang Wang watches them from the shadows, feeling the pressure. He knows he can't fall behind if he wants to keep up with his talented brothers. He takes off his shirt and prepares for his own secret training. Today is July 15th, the day he's scheduled for a challenge in the Taixu illusory realm. He pulls out the crescent moon key, watching as it begins to glow in his palm. With a single thought, he activates the key and prepares to enter the challenge. He finds himself standing on a massive cosmic platform as the system welcomes the Lord of Dongjin Ruin's blessed land. A giant golden clock manifests in front of him, starting the countdown for his battle. Jiang Wang draws his sword, his eyes glowing red with focus. He has no idea what kind of opponent the realm is going to throw at him this time. Over the last month, he's completely absorbed the pill and started storing Dao essence in his meridians. He's ready to see how far he's come. The timer hits the final few seconds. Even if he doesn't win, he's determined to at least last a round or two against his challenger. Suddenly, a message pops up saying, "Fighter FORFEITS." Jiang Wang just stands there, completely caught off guard. He realizes that since his opponent gave up, he gets to keep the blessed land without even having to fight for it. He's awarded 1850 points for the month, bringing his total to 3,700. It's the perfect chance to finally use the Dao simulation platform. He follows the mental prompts and prepares to place his hands on the glowing golden table to start the simulation. He places his hands on the surface, ready to sacrifice his hard-earned points to upgrade his techniques. He closes his eyes and focuses, reciting the techniques in his head as the platform prepares to consume his points. He starts with the Gyuan array, which costs him 1850 points. The platform begins the process of disassembling and restructuring his foundation. The simulation runs through thousands of possibilities in an instant, rearranging the points of his array. The simulation finishes, leaving him with exactly 1850 points in his balance. He successfully upgraded his foundation to the Jiaoshan star array, which is far more complex and powerful than before. He wonders if he should save the rest of his points, but he knows that in the world of cultivation, any weakness can be an invitation to disaster. He needs more power now. He selects defensive swordsmanship for another 1850 points. Hopping the platform can turn it into something legendary. He's curious to see what the system can do with a basic manual he bought at a local street stall. The platform lights up once again. A silhouette of a swordsman practicing new forms appears in the light. The manual transforms into something absolutely incredible, using up the rest of his points. A majestic, spectral face appears within the golden energy. The results are beyond his wildest expectations. He reaches out as the essence of the new technique flows directly into his mind. Scene change. With a sharp clang, the weapon in a student's hand was sent flying into the air. Fast forward to the next morning, Zhao Rucheng is whining after a brutal 20-game losing streak. He's dying to know the name of the new sword style Jiang Wang has been using to kick his butt. Jiang Wang explains that he acquired the technique by pure luck. It has 9 training forms and 5 attack forms, and it's already completely changed his understanding of the sword. The problem is, the manual didn't have a name. He asks Rucheng to use his supposed literary skills to come up with one. Rucheng thinks it over for a second and suggests something grand, like the almighty divine sword. Jiang Wang isn't feeling it and gives him a quick smack, telling him to take this seriously. Rucheng gets back to thinking. He notes the 9 training methods and the 5 killing methods, and that 95 is a supreme number. He finally decides on a name, Purple Chi from the East, calling it the ruler among all swords. Jiang Wang repeats the name, actually liking the way it sounds. It fits the technique perfectly. From that day on, the style is officially known as the Purple Chi from the East sword technique. Rucheng is so hyped up that he jumps right onto Jiang Wang's back, shouting "Third brother" with excitement. He begs Jiang Wang to teach him the new technique, but their playful bickering is interrupted by a cough from someone nearby. It's Uncle Deng, the Zhao family housekeeper. He's brought along Li Jiangqiu from the academy, who's come specifically to see Jiang Wang. Jiang Wang and Li Jiangqiu walk together toward the main hall. Jiang Wang thanks his senior for delivering the message, but wonders aloud what Master Dong could possibly want with him. Li Jiangqiu tells him to stop being so formal, as he's not from a prestigious family either. He isn't sure of the exact reason for the summons, but he suspects it's related to the demon attack on the outer courtyard. As they approach the building, Li Jiangqiu notes that everyone else has already arrived. Jiang Wang wonders if the master found something important at the city lord's mansion. Inside, they find Fang Helling and Zhang Linquan waiting. Helling immediately throws a sarcastic comment their way, mocking the fact that Li Jiangqiu went all that way just to fetch Jiang Wang. Helling continues to complain, accusing Jiang Wang of making everyone wait. Jiang Wang ignores the insults and respectfully greets Zhang Linquan. Zhang Linquan, a 5th-year student in the inner court, tells them everything is fine. He advises everyone to wait quietly since Master Dong is still in the middle of his morning meditation. The 4 disciples stand in silence in the courtyard, waiting for their master to appear. The quiet is broken by the sound of the hall doors opening. Master Dong steps out, his stern gaze immediately silencing them. He mentions the demon attack and notes that the city lord's investigation has failed to produce any results so far. He declares that the academy will handle its own business. He is sending them to investigate the matter themselves, with rewards based on an 8th grade mission standard. Fang Helling is stunned by the high reward points. Master Dong explains that because Jiang Wang and Helling are the only ones whose meridians have awakened, they must be properly tempered through this mission. He lays out the plan. Linquan and Jiangqiu will each lead a junior disciple and investigate separately, with a mission reward of 19 points on the line. Master Dong adds a catch. Whichever side finds the culprit first will claim 90% of the final prize. The disciples bow in unison, accepting their master's orders with deep respect. Li Jiankyu mentions he has sources in the investigation division and points out two crucial clues regarding the demon's movements. Zhang Linquan listens to the clues, one involving an inn and another a murder in a nearby town, and asks the juniors if they have any preferences for the team formations. Fang Helling tries to manipulate the situation, suggesting that since the intelligence came from senior brother Zhang, he should decide the teams. He makes a show of mentioning how close their families are. Jiang Wang remains indifferent and simply agrees to let senior brother Zhang handle the assignments. Helling is annoyed by Jiang Wang's passive attitude, mocking him for just following whatever everyone else says without having his own opinion. Zhang Linquan makes his decision. They set off tomorrow. Li Jiankyu will investigate the inn, while Zhang will take Jiang Wang with him to Tang's town. Fang Helling is left standing there in total shock. His attempt to butter up Zhang Linquan completely backfired, and now he's stuck working with the intimidating Li Jiankyu. A lone raven caws as it flies over the stone marker for Tang's town. Two riders gallop through the mud, passing by a human skull half buried in the path. An old woman watches from the shadows of her home as the horses thunder past. Jiang Wang and Zhang Linquan ride into the silent village, noticing how empty the streets are. Zhang Linquan smiles, nodding that his junior brother clearly did his research before coming here. Jiang Wang acknowledges the compliment, but his focus stays on the senior who is ranked among the academy elite. They pull up their horses as they are met by a local official waiting in the fog. The man introduces himself as Tang Dun, a constable desperate for the young hero's help. The official leads them through the village, cursing the bastards who ruined this once peaceful place. They stop at a door sealed shut with a heavy lock and a yellow talisman. Zhang Linquan doesn't hesitate and gives the order to open it up. Tang Dun throws the doors open, revealing the dark interior of the house. Zhang Linquan covers his nose, bracing himself for whatever is waiting inside. Skeletons of people and animals are scattered across the courtyard like discarded trash. In the dining room, a skeleton is still slumped over a bowl of porridge at the table. Jiang Wang is disturbed to see that the food hasn't even spoiled, yet the body is already bone. They decide to split up and search the house, with the senior telling him to shout if he finds anything. Jiang Wang pushes aside a curtain and steps into a back room alone. He finds himself in a child's bedroom, where toys and a rocking horse sit untouched. Another skeleton lies on the bed, looking like it was just playing before everything stopped. He picks up a crumpled drawing, showing a happy family that doesn't exist anymore. Suddenly, a sinister green light flares up within the empty sockets of a skull. Jiang Wang clenches his teeth, his grip tightening on the drawing as his anger boils over. The skeleton leaps from the bed with a screeching cry, reaching out for him. Jiang Wang strikes, shattering the pile of bones into 1,000 pieces with a single decisive kick. A mocking voice echoes through the room, taunting him for destroying what was left of the girl. He realizes he's trapped in an illusion by the unnamed demon cultivator and draws his sword. The demon continues to mock him, telling him he'll never leave this room alive. Jiang Wang stands his ground and tells the demon it is better if no one can get out. He prepares his new sword technique, focusing every ounce of his power into pure speed. His blade moves so fast it leaves deep, jagged gashes across the walls of the small room. Even without a clear target, Jiang Wang knows his sword is finding its mark. A magical diagram reveals the boundaries of the separation art that has been sealing him in. The demon is stunned that a mere student could break through a white bone sect technique. Jiang Wang doesn't give him a second to recover and swings his blade once more. A massive shockwave tears through the room, ending the illusion for good. Zhang Linquan peers through a hole in the wall, asking if everything is okay. Jiang Wang lets out a breath, explaining that a demon tried to trap him inside. He looks around the wreckage, still feeling the adrenaline from the encounter. The table is completely smashed, and the bones lie still once more. The senior mentions he had to blast away a few zombies that tried to ambush them outside. Jiang Wang sheathes his sword, frustrated that the demon managed to escape his blade. Zhang Linquan catches the final, solitary drop of blood remaining on Jiang Wang's blade. He explains that with this sample, the Academy's vice dean will be able to track down the demon cultivator easily. Satisfied with what they found, the senior leads the way out, figuring they have enough of an explanation for Master Dong. Once they are outside, Zhang Linquan asks why Jiang Wang seemed so unusually angry during the fight. Jiang Wang admits that seeing the girl reminded him of his own sister, and the thought of her being hurt made him lose control. With the job finished, they headed outside and received a small pouch of payment from the constable just as they were preparing to head back to the academy. Before riding off, Jiang Wang asks Constable Tang to give the family a proper burial so they can finally rest. They arrive at the stone marker for Tang's town. Jiang Wang and his senior ride down a path lined with protective yellow talismans. Zhang Linquan explains that maintaining these official roads takes a massive amount of investment from the court. He breaks down the difference between wild beasts and the much more dangerous ferocious beasts. While wild beasts can be used for medicine, these corrupted creatures are just mindless, worthless threats. Jiang Wang nods, taking the lesson to heart as they continue their journey. Then Zhang turns the conversation around, asking why monsters seem to be personally targeting Jiang Wang. Jiang Wang looks back, caught off guard by the sudden suspicion. Zhang points a finger crackling with blue lightning, demanding to know what secret he's hiding. Jiang Wang panics internally, wondering if he's talking about the void key. Before he can answer, a bolt of lightning intercepts an arrow flying straight for them. Jiang Wang stares at the smoking arrow tip on the ground. Before they could even process the sudden ambush, a chilling voice rang out from behind the trees, sentencing them to death. In a flash, Zhang Linquan leaped from his horse, streaking through the air like a bolt of lightning toward the source of the voice. Zhang tells Jiang Wang to split up and retreat while he handles the situation. But Jiang Wang draws his sword, looking ready for a fight. He recognizes that voice as the demon from the town earlier. He leaps through the trees, unleashing the first form of his sword art. The demon cultivator laughs, claiming Zhang is the only one he needs to worry about. Jiang Wang ignores the taunts and swings again with the second form, accuracy. The demon dodges easily, mocking him for not knowing any actual Dao techniques. He decides to show Jiang Wang a real technique, his arm beginning to glow with a sickly green light. The limb swells into a massive, bloated fist. Jiang Wang blocks the strike, but the demon's skin has become as hard as stone. The impact sends him skidding backward through the air. Jiang Wang counts his remaining options, realizing he's running low on essence. The demon leaps toward him, telling him it's too late for regrets. The massive green fist crashes down. Jiang Wang activates his stored Dao essence orbs all at once. He decides to gamble everything on a surprise counterattack. He uses the third form, Pierce, driving a column of purple energy straight through the demon's arm. The demon is shocked that his opponent had another trick hidden away. The residual force of the attack sent the demon cultivator crashing into the ground, kicking up a massive cloud of dust and smoke. Gasping for air and reeling from the blast, the cultist struggled to stay on his feet. He took a long, deep breath, preparing to unleash a brand new technique. Realizing he can't win a direct fight, the demon tries to escape. He exhales a cloud of rotting corpse poison mist. The forest is quickly covered in thick green fog. Mushrooms and plants wither instantly as the mist spreads. The demon hides in the fog, waiting for a chance to kill Jiang Wang. Suddenly, a purple light pierces right through the poison. Jiang Wang stands with his sword raised for the fourth form, concentration. His face is set in a mask of pure focus. Jiang Wang unleashed a rapid-fire succession of Dao essence from within his body, putting everything he had into this final, all-out strike. Jiang Wang unleashes the final form of his sword art, focusing all his intent into one strike. The demon cultivator is frozen in shock, unable to believe a low-rank student has this much power. A massive purple energy blade slices through the air, tearing apart everything in its path. The demon is cut down instantly, his body splitting under the force of the blow. He falls to the ground, dead before he even hits the dirt. Jiang Wang stood tall and majestic, even as the sword in his hand shattered into pieces. But the effort takes its toll, and he drops to his knees, gasping for air. He realizes his current cultivation level is barely enough to handle the strain of using all 5 killing forms. He looks up as something moves in the darkness behind a tree. 2 severed heads are tossed onto the ground in front of him. Zhang Linquan steps out, surprised that his junior was able to take down an 8th-rank demon single-handedly. Zhang checks on the area, noting that there's nothing left of the enemy. Zhang wipes the blood from his hands, still marveling at Jiang Wang's swordsmanship. Jiang Wang asks if they can get any information from the corpses left behind. Zhang shakes his head, explaining that he already tried to search the souls of the ones he killed. He says these cultists have soul-shattering curses engraved in their minds to prevent interrogation. Zhang wants to get him to a clinic, but Jiang Wang insists on reporting to the academy first. Zhang agrees, adding that the damage to the official road formations needs to be reported to the authorities. That night, the lights of the city glow under a crescent moon. In a high-end district, a man is busy entertaining a beautiful guest. This is Su Dong, a high-ranking official who is clearly infatuated with Maya Oyu. He promises her anything she wants, completely oblivious to her true nature. A masked subordinate interrupts to report on the failure at Tang's town. Maya Oyu looks out from the balcony, seemingly unbothered by the loss. She told her subordinates that there was no need to send any more secret reinforcements. She is more interested in the young Taoist who killed her people with that mysterious sword technique. The subordinate admits he couldn't find a single record of that style ever being used in the city. Maya Oyu dismisses the man, her mind already elsewhere. The masked man performs a deep bow before vanishing into the night. Maya Oyu muses that if the technique is unknown, the boy must have a very special master. The moon hangs high over the silent buildings. She lies back, whispering to herself about a child of Tao. A fish swims through the dark waters of a pond nearby. Back at the academy, Master Dong attempts a soul search on a captured enemy. The students watch as the master tries to extract intelligence about the group mission. But the soul is completely shattered, leaving behind no memories to read. Fang Helling notes that the level of preparation suggests a very powerful organization. Master Dong cuts him off and asks Zhang for the specific results from Tang's town. Zhang reports that they found 3 demon cultivators and that Jiang Wang killed one by himself. Master Dong is genuinely impressed by the junior's growth. Jiang Wang remains humble, saying he only won because the demon was focused on his senior. Master Dong dismisses them, awarding each student 5 Dao merits for completing the mission. Jiang Wang walks with Zhang Linquan and other students, discussing the meager 5-point reward for their mission. Determined to learn more about the academy's hierarchy, he makes his way to the towering Dao Merit Hall. He enters the hall alone, the weight of the institution's history hanging in the air. The interior is quiet and grand, a place where achievements are recorded in stone and spirit. Standing before the central display, Jiang Wang commands the merit list to reveal itself. A colossal golden scroll of light unfurls, showcasing the names of those who have earned the most merit for the city. He scans the ranks, finding Zhang Linquan impressively situated in 3rd place with 700 points. Just above his senior is Wei Yan, a cultivator from outside the academy who holds the 2nd place spot. Jiang Wang's eyes drift to the pinnacle of the list, curious about the person who stands above them all. He is shocked to see Zuo Guanglie in 1st place with 1,300 points, a score that dwarfs everyone else. He reflects on the legend of Zuo Guanglie, an elusive elite student whose strength is said to be on par with the academy's deans. Jiang Wang checks out the Dao Merit ranking list. He's looking for the cheapest magical sword he can find to help with his training. He takes a look at a standard magic sword. It's forged from refined steel and can even store a Taoist technique for instant use, but it costs a whopping 300 merit points. Jiang Wang takes a look at it. The utility is great for combining sword moves with spells, but the price is way out of his league right now. Suddenly, a massive face with glowing blue eyes looms over him. A voice booms out, asking if he's the new junior brother. Jiang Wang nearly jumps out of his skin. The guy introduces himself as Wang Changxiang, a third-year student at the academy. Trying to play it cool, Jiang Wang introduces himself as a new arrival to the inner courtyard. Wang Changxiang just laughs and apologizes for scaring him. The upperclassman keeps that friendly grin, saying it must be fate and that they'll see each other around. Jiang Wang watches him go, realizing he just met a real heavy hitter. This Wang Changxiang is ranked 7th on the merit list, way above the seniors he knows. Just as he's thinking about that, someone comes sprinting across the courtyard shouting for their third brother. Jiang Wang takes the letter and tears open the envelope. It's a letter from Aunt Song. She explains that things in Wangjiang City have gone sideways thanks to the Lin family, and she needs him to look after a little girl named Anan for a while. He reads the name Anan, and his expression immediately shifts into something much more serious. Meet Anan, a tiny girl with big eyes who looks a little lost. She softly calls out for her brother. Jiang Wang's buddies are already gathered around. Du Yehu thinks she's the cutest thing ever, while Jiang Wang gently asks her if she's willing to live with him for a bit. Anan looks down, her voice trembling as she asks if her mom doesn't want her anymore. Jiang Wang goes into full panic mode, waving his arms to shut that idea down. He tells her she's just busy and that he's here to keep her company. Then he shoots his friends a look that says, "Help me out here or else." Du Yehu, Linghe, and Zhao Rucheng get the message loud and clear. They all put on their best, trustworthy big brother faces. And just like that, the mood shifts. Anan gets lifted high into the air. The whole crew is hyped up. They decide the best way to cheer her up is a big trip to visit the market in Maplewood City. Du Yehu acts as a human sedan chair, letting Anan ride on his shoulders as they all charge out for some fun. It's a full-on shopping spree. Anan's got snacks in both hands while the guys follow her around, carrying everything else. She even gets brave enough to poke a grumpy dog with her candy stick, while Du Yehu and the others hover behind her, ready to jump in if things get hairy. They spend the rest of the afternoon playing in the fields, trying to get a kite to catch the wind. The kite flies high against the setting sun, a small moment of peace after everything that's happened. But then the string snaps and the kite takes a nosedive, crashing right into the dirt. Jiang Wang tries to comfort her, saying they can just fly it again, but Anan has had enough. She quietly says she just wants to go home. Jiang Wang kneels down, looking her in the eyes and asking if she'd like to stay and live with him from now on. For a second, she looks like she might say yes, telling him she's happy. But then the facade breaks, and the tears start pouring down her face. Linghe and Zhao Rucheng watch from a distance, the fun of the day completely drained away. Du Yehu looks off into the sunset, unable to watch the poor girl's heart break. Anan clings to Jiang Wang's neck, sobbing about how she just wants her mommy and asking if she's been abandoned. Jiang Wang clenches his jaw, his heart breaking for her. He promises her that Aunt Song will be back very soon to pick her up. He pulls her into a tight hug, telling her not to be scared because he's going to stay by her side and protect her. They sit there in the tall grass as the sun disappears, just a brother trying to hold his sister's world together. Linghe steps up next, his voice soft as he promises that he'll also be there to protect her. Zhao Rucheng joins in too, telling her she can't forget about her handsome brother being there for her. Du Yehu can't hold it back anymore. The big guy starts bawling his eyes out, saying the whole thing reminds him of his own late parents. It turns into a giant group hug, with everyone piling in to comfort the crying little girl. The sun finally sets, leaving the field in a deep, bloody red glow. They all end up collapsed on the grass together. Anan finally stops crying long enough to complain that they're all crowding her way too much. Back at the academy, the guys are talking about the future. Jiang Wang mentions it's getting cramped in the dorms and he wants to find a place for him and Anan, but his sword just broke and repairs are gonna cost him a fortune. His friends don't even hesitate. Linghe, the eldest brother, says he's got some savings Jiang Wang can take, and even Du Yehu offers up his drinking money. Linghe's already planning to have Uncle Deng arrange a house as soon as they get back. They walk off into the sunset, joking about money and making sure they set a good example for little Anand. It's a nice moment of brotherhood before the real drama kicks in. Cut to a classroom setting where Master Dong is dropping some heavy world building. He's talking about how a true cultivator needs to look at the big picture, not just what's right in front of them. The world is massive, and if you're only focused on your own little corner, you're no better than a frog at the bottom of a well. You've got to aim for the stars. Master Dong sits there smoking his pipe, explaining that you can't just hide away and train. You have to understand the 6 major nations that rule the world: Jiang, Qi, Chu, Qin, Mu, and Jiang. First up is the Jiang nation in the center. They're the powerhouse overseeing the gate of 10,000 demons, which sounds like a total nightmare. Then you've got the Qi nation out east. Their whole job is keeping the Kang Ocean Sea clan in check since they border the ocean. Down south, the Chu nation is positioned right against the fallen immortal forest, dealing with whatever creeps out of those woods. Over in the west, the Qin nation is busy suppressing the Usura clan deep within the Yuan. Basically, every big nation is holding back some kind of monster. Up north, the Mu and Jiang nations have teamed up to form a front line against the demon clan. It's a constant struggle for survival across the entire continent. Finally, there's their own Zhuang nation, a tiny little place squeezed between the giants. Master Dong explains that for a small country to survive, it has to be a master of the art of balance. He continues, saying that if you master balance, you can play the big guys against each other and stay safe. It's all about surviving in the gaps. While the teacher is lecturing, the boys are having their own little meeting in the back. They're worried about Jiang Wang trying to raise Anand on his own, while also keeping up with the grueling academy schedule. Ling He and Zhao Rucheng have already thought ahead, though. They've arranged for Anand to go to a private school and even planned out a schedule to pick her up. Like they said, if a problem can be solved with money, it's not really a problem. Their conversation is cut short by the sudden thunderous sound of war drums. Boom, boom, boom. The whole class freezes. Du Yehu looks around, confused as hell, wondering what could possibly be causing this kind of commotion in the middle of a lecture. A messenger bursts in, shouting about an emergency deployment. Every single inner court disciple is ordered to gather immediately. Something big is happening. A man in heavy blue armor strides into the room like he owns the place. You can tell just by his walk that he's not someone you want to mess with. Even the vice principal, Dean Song, is being super respectful. This is Wei Yan, the guy ranked second on the merit list and a high-ranking general of the city guard. The students are whispering about how even a veteran like Dean Song has to defer to him. Wei Yan sits down right in the dean's chair and looks bored out of his mind. He signals his deputy, Zhao Lang, to get to the point. Zhao Lang steps forward and drops a bombshell. Zallen town has been completely cut off from the world for 5 days. They need 30 inner disciples to head out right now and find out what happened. The students start murmuring immediately. They're wondering why the city guard or the criminal investigators aren't handling this themselves. Zhao Lang explains that the guards are busy hunting a heart-devouring demon bear. To make it worth their while, the reward is being bumped up by 30%, and General Wei Yan himself will be leading the team. Wei Yan pipes up, making it clear that while it's technically voluntary, he'll start drafting people if they don't get enough volunteers. He's not here to play games. The group starts debating. Jiang Wang wants those merit points for a Meridian Opening Pill, and Zhao Rucheng is down for the adventure. Du Yehu, on the other hand, just wants to go back to sleep. But as soon as the reward is mentioned, Du Yehu's greed wins out. He jumps up and shouts that the 4 of them are in, much to Jiang Wang's annoyance. Wei Yan stares them down, his eyes glowing with a bit of skepticism. He thinks 4 freshmen might just be dead weight on a mission this dangerous. Still, a volunteer is a volunteer. He tells Zhao Lang to put their names down and asks if anyone else has the guts to step up. 26 spots left. Amidst the crowd of disciples, a short, stirring speech rang out, reminding them that the academy had raised them for one purpose: to serve the nation when the world falls into chaos. And the man behind that speech was none other than Li Jianqiu, a third-year student who stepped forward to claim the mission. Another hand goes up from the crowd, the atmosphere in the room finally shifting from fear to determination. Then Wang Changxiang, That friendly senior Jiang Wang met earlier steps up with a smile. If the heavy hitters are joining, it must be a big deal. Wei Yan looks a bit more satisfied now that some actual talent is signing up. 24 spots left to fill. He notes that with guys like Li Jiankyu and Wang Changxiang on board, the mission actually has a chance of succeeding. Seeing the top students join, the rest of the class starts scrambling to sign up, mostly just to curry favor with the general and the seniors. The numbers climb fast, 13 spots, 5 spots, until finally the roster is full. 30 people are ready to go. Wei Yan stands up, looking at the eager faces. He's glad to see they haven't lost their fighting spirit to their textbooks yet. It's time to move out. The sound of horse hooves signals the beginning of the march. They arrive at the outskirts of Zallen town, and the scene is chilling. The soldiers already on site look terrified. One of them reports to General Wei that a thick, unnatural fog has completely swallowed the town. Anyone who went in to investigate hasn't come back. It's so eerie that the regular constables won't even go near it. Looking over the ridge, they see a massive, swirling black vortex of clouds and lightning hanging over the town like a curse. This isn't just a regular disaster. This is something far worse. The group stands at the edge of Zallen town, and man, the sky looks like something out of a horror movie. A massive black vortex is spinning right over the town, crackling with lightning. General Wei Yan isn't focused on the storm yet, though. He's chewing out some local guards for illegally cutting down the town's sacred moon cypress trees, while everyone's distracted by the crisis. The head constable bows low, making excuses about how the wood was meant to support the families of fallen brothers. He's clearly terrified of the general. He begs for mercy, but Wei Yan isn't the type to let things slide just because there's a disaster happening. The general shuts him down immediately. He orders the wood confiscated, docks everyone's pay for a year, and fires the guy on the spot. Then, without missing a beat, he orders the group to move out. Jiang Wang and his friends are watching this all go down. Zhao Rucheng thinks the guy is a bit of a monster, but Ling He reminds them that in the military, the general's word is law. Du Yehu actually kind of respects the guy's no-nonsense attitude. They set off at a gallop, charging into the dark woods towards the town gate. The thunder of hooves matches the rumbling in the sky as they close the distance. They reach the main gate of Zallen town, and it's buried under a creepy, glowing blue mist. It's definitely not a natural fog. Suddenly, Wei Yan's horse rears up, neighing in pure panic. It refuses to go any further. Behind him, Jiang Wang and the others are having the same problem. Their horses are dead set on not entering that mist. The blue fog is practically pouring out of the gate like a physical wave. The whole place feels cursed. Wang Changxiang realizes what's going on. The animals can sense something in there that's scaring them to death. Their instincts are screaming at them to run. But Wei Yan doesn't have time for scared horses. He draws his sword, the blade gleaming with a dangerous golden light. In a move that shocks everyone, he decapitates his own horse in one clean swing. He's not letting anything stand in the way of the mission. He stands there looking absolutely cold, telling his men that cowardice before a battle is useless. If the horse won't go, it's dead weight. You'd think the kids would be horrified, but Du Yehu actually starts laughing. He's totally loving the intensity. Du Yehu decides to follow the general's lead and straight up punches his own horse's head off. He shouts that if you're afraid to die, you shouldn't be a soldier anyway. The guy is officially hyped. Wei Yan gives the order. Everyone dismount and form a sharp arrow formation. They're going in on foot. He steps forward to the very front of the formation. He's going to be the arrowhead leading them straight through whatever is waiting in Zallen town. The team follows him into the thick blue haze, leaving the world they know behind. Troops dispatch. Wei Yan's voice cuts through the silence as they step into the danger zone. Swords are drawn all around, the sound of steel ringing out in the quiet fog. Zhao Lang stepped forward and unleashed a third-rank Dao art called Sharpen, casting a blue glow over everyone's blades. Jiang Wang and Zhao Rucheng are impressed. Their weapons are glowing with power now, ready to cut through more than just flesh and bone. Zhao Lang doesn't stop there. He casts another spell, third-rank Dao art, Attached Flame. Suddenly, everyone's sword is wreathed in bright orange fire. It's not just for damage. They need the light to see more than 3 feet in front of them. Not wanting to be left out, Du Yehu activates his own technique, third-rank Dao Art Harden. He bulks up, his skin glowing with energy as he flexes. He's itching for something to jump out of the fog so he can smash it. Ling He just tells him to chill out and stay focused. They press deeper into the town, moving in a tight formation. Wei Yan warns them to keep their eyes peeled and report anything immediately. The fog is so thick it's like walking through wet cotton. You can barely see the person right in front of you. Then they start seeing shapes. Dozens of dark silhouettes are standing perfectly still in the mist. At first, they think maybe they found survivors. Du Yehu mumbles that this is all going a little too smoothly for his liking. Wei Yan's eyes narrow. He knows better. He tells everyone to hold their positions and wait for his signal. He unleashes a massive horizontal slash, a wave of energy tearing through the fog like a hot knife through butter. The energy wave sweeps the mist away, and the sight underneath is enough to make anyone's stomach turn. It's a literal army of ghosts, hundreds of them, all glowing with that same eerie blue light, standing shoulder to shoulder. Zhao Lang gasps in horror. Every single person who lived in this town, they're all like this now. Wang Changxiang and the others can only stare. This mission just went from a rescue op to a nightmare scenario. Zhao Rucheng's voice shakes as he realizes the scale of the disaster. No way. Jiang Wang and Du Yehu are at a total loss for words. They're surrounded by ghosts. Looking closer at the figures, you can see their black, empty eye sockets and decaying skin. The truth is unavoidable. Zallen town is dead. There isn't a single living soul left. Wei Yan shouts for Zhao Lang to get ready. Rucheng responds, yes, immediately, falling into a casting pose. A massive ring of fire, the fire wall, ignites around the group, creating a temporary safe zone in the middle of the ghostly town. Zhao Lang explains the catch. The ghosts outside the fire circle will keep their distance for now, but any ghosts trapped inside are going to get super aggressive because they have nowhere to run. Watch yourselves, he warns. And he's right. The ghosts inside the circle go into a frenzy, but Jiang Wang and the rest of the gang are ready, their flaming swords slicing through the blue phantoms like butter. Wei Yan shouts over the chaos, telling Zhao Lang to stop worrying about them and just focus on his job. They've already come this far and they can handle their own. Wei Yan adds his 2 cents, telling Zhao Lang that babying his comrades is practically an insult to them. The general expects nothing but pure confidence. Du Yehu is in his element, throwing a massive punch that shatters a ghost's spectral body. That's what I'm talking about, he roars, clearly having the time of his life. A ghost tries to grab Wei Yan's arm, but it starts burning away as soon as it touches the general's intense aura. He doesn't even flinch. Wei Yan towers over the ghosts like a literal titan, his flaming sword glowing as brightly as his resolve. But even with all this power, they're still stuck in that thick, blinding fog. The ghosts keep swarming, trying to eat the general's energy, but it's like trying to drink from a volcano. Still, the situation is getting cramped. Wei Yan realizes they're fighting a losing battle of navigation. The fog is so thick they can't see the streets, let alone find where the source of this mess is. He knows they can't just keep wandering blindly in a circle while being mobbed. They need a clear view, and they need it now. Wei Yan calls out to the group, asking if anyone's a master of wind arts. They need someone to blow this supernatural smog away once and for all. Wang Changxiang steps forward, looking surprisingly calm given the circumstances. I'll give it a try, he says, cracking his knuckles. He starts weaving some intricate hand signs, blue light gathering at his fingertips as he preps his technique. Wang Changxiang takes a massive breath, his cheeks puffing out as he channels an insane amount of energy into a single exhale. Ha tilde tilde tilde. He releases a massive blast of green energy that spirals out of his mouth like a miniature hurricane. The wind art takes the shape of a colossal, toothy dragon head made of pure gale force winds, roaring as it tears through the blue fog. The green wind dragon charges down the main street, clearing everything in its path with the force of a high-speed train. The power is so intense that roof tiles are getting ripped off the buildings and sent flying into the sky. Lanterns and debris are scattered as the wind dragon purges the town's atmosphere, finally revealing the path ahead. The massive blast continues to roll through Zallen town like a physical tide, stripping away the fog and showing just how deep the nightmare goes. Wang Changxiang isn't just throwing around common wind. He's using the Mingshu wind, a high-level Dao art meant to clear away the dark and reveal the truth. Zhao Lang is impressed, watching a sixth-grade cultivator control such a powerful technique before even fully reaching the next stage of power. Seeing that level of skill makes him realize he's got to step up his game if he wants to be any use to General Wei Yan. Above them, the sky stays thick with gloom, a tattered flag fluttering in the heavy air of the town. Using that much power takes a toll, and Wang Changxiang has to catch his breath while the others keep watch. The town is silent, the dark buildings holding secrets that nobody wants to find. Everywhere you look, there's just abandoned stalls and a thick sense of dread. From high up, it's even worse. A small circle of fire is the only thing protecting them from the thousands of ghosts lurking on every roof and corner. The ground itself seems to be spitting out spirits as a massive, dark vortex swirls in the sky above. The guys are starting to panic, noticing that there are way more ghosts here than the entire population of the town should have been. Wang Changxiang suggests they should just pull back for now, but General Wei Yan isn't hearing it. He points out that another tribe is already making moves, and if they wait for reinforcements, they'll be way too late to stop the disaster. Jiang Wang is confused because he thought there was a peace treaty in place with the water tribes. Wei Yan suspects something bigger is going on, like there's some hidden hand pulling all these strings at once. He grips his sword tight, ready to force his way through whatever's coming. He tells everyone that they're settling this today, but he gives them an out. If anyone's too scared, they can leave now. Without waiting for a response, the general charges straight into the chaos. That's all the motivation the others need. They roar and charge right after him, slashing through the spirits. They race through the narrow streets, fire and blue spirit energy clashing in the dark. Suddenly, they're stopped dead by a massive wall of black energy cutting through the town. Wei Yan stares it down, certain that whatever is causing this mess is hidden right behind that barrier. Jiang Wang gets a bad feeling. This thing looks exactly like the confinement spell a demon cultivator used on him before. Wei Yan tries to hack through it, but his blade just bounces off the black surface with a shower of sparks. Even the general looks visibly shaken as his ultimate strike fails to leave even a single scratch. To make matters worse, his sword snaps clean in half. The students start whispering, figuring if the general's legendary blade can't break it, their basic swords haven't got a chance. Wei Yan looks back at the group, asking if anyone has a better idea. That's when Huang Ajin steps up to the wall and he starts peeing on it. He claims that as a virgin, his urine has the ultimate yang energy needed to break through a dark seal like this. Du Yehu can't believe the guy is acting so proud of being a lifelong virgin, while the others just look disgusted. Everyone waits in awkward silence to see if the secret weapon actually works. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. Huang Ajin looks around and asks if any other virgins want to join him in a group effort. Du Yehu just laughs and says the problem isn't the number of people, it's probably just that Huang's source is too small. General Wei Yan snaps at them to stop playing around, while the student mutters something about his energy being drained from recent activities. Wang Changxiang gets things back on track, explaining that the souls are positioned in a classic 9 palaces formation. He shows them how the energy flows, following a complex celestial pattern. To break the whole thing, they don't need to hit the center, they just need to take out the 8 outer cores. Wei Yan realizes they're running out of time, and decides they need to split up to hit all the points at once. He orders Zhao Lang and Wang Changxiang to remain behind to coordinate and provide support wherever it's needed most. The general takes the first palace for himself, heading off with his blades glowing with fire. Jiang Wang and his brothers take responsibility for one of the other palaces, ready to do their part. The whole squad fans out across the town square, each group heading toward a different target. They arrive at the Zun Palace, where the air is thick with blue fog and the lanterns hang ominously in the dark. Zhao Rucheng is starting to have doubts, asking if they've just been running in circles this whole time since they can't find any sign of the evil spirit. Ling He stays focused on his steps, counting them out exactly as the book taught until he finally tells everyone to halt. The three of them stop and look into the gloom, waiting to see if his plan actually worked. The air ahead turns a sickening shade of red, and the heavy stench of blood confirms they've reached the 10th lap. A massive, clawed shadow looms over Jiang Wang, ready to strike before he even realizes it's there. He doesn't skip a beat, drawing his blade and meeting the phantom with a sharp, glowing slash. Jiang Wang dances back as the ground explodes under the force of the ghost's reach. He asks Zhao Rucheng how many forms of the purple chi sword art he's got down. Zhao says he knows the first 3, so Jiang Wang decides they're leading the charge together. High above them, the ghost's rotting, oversized hand hangs from the dark sky like a nightmare. Up close, the creature is a mess of jagged teeth and freezing blue energy. It's a massive, resentful ghost, draped in tattered red robes that make its skeletal frame look even more imposing. Jiang Wang tells Zhao Rucheng they need to coordinate their strikes, and his brother is all in. The ghost's empty sockets flare with a ghostly light as it stares them down. Jiang Wang launches himself into the air, calling out the first kill form, where speed is the only thing that matters. He transforms into a blurred streak of purple energy, zigzagging through the air to overwhelm the monster's senses. But this beast is terrifyingly sharp. It calculates the exact moment he closes in to launch a devastating counterattack. Zhao Rucheng follows up immediately with the second kill form, focusing every ounce of his energy on pinpoint accuracy. His blade finds its mark, slashing straight into the demon's waist with a sharp clang as sparks of energy fly in every direction. Before he can even savor the hit, the demon's claws are already inches from Zhao Rucheng's face. The intensity of this battle has officially hit the ceiling. The demon lets out a piercing shriek as another heavy blow crashes down exactly where Zhao Rucheng stood. But he stepped just in time, escaping by a hair's breadth. He sticks the landing and skids back, putting plenty of distance between himself and the beast to reach a safe zone. But the moment Zhao Rucheng regains his balance and looks up, he realizes he's being hunted by a predator who truly knows how to fight. The demon is already soaring right above his head, ready to pounce. In a surge of panic, he discovers something even worse. His sword is gone, lost at some point during the chaos. Fortunately for Zhao Rucheng, Jiang Wang arrives just in time to save him. He's already prepared, channeling the purple chi sword technique to its absolute limit. Now it's time for the third kill form, a technique designed for one purpose: to pierce through anything in its way. Jiang Wang charges head-on, his sword transforming into a streak of violet light aimed directly at the demon's skull. The creature lets out a horrific roar, its long tongue lashing out as it tries to swallow the attacker whole. The impact is jarring. Jiang Wang's blade hits home, but the ghost's body is way tougher than he expected. The monster retaliates with a massive, sweeping claw strike that tears up the stone floor. Du Yehu and the others watch from the sidelines, shouting out as the fight gets increasingly dangerous. Ling He hurls a sword to his 5th brother, ensuring his offensive momentum remains unbroken. He dives back into the fray, his eyes locked on the target. He goes for the accuracy form again, knowing he can't afford to miss a single hit. His sword sinks deep into the ghost's back, but the creature barely seems to notice the pain. The blade gets wedged tight between the monster's skeletal ribs. Zhao Rucheng plants a foot on the ghost's shoulder, pulling with everything he's got to get his sword back. Zhao Rucheng watches in horror as the ghost's flesh literally clamps down on the metal, showing off its terrifying power. In the middle of carving through the demon's flesh, Jiang Wang screams a desperate warning to Zhao Rucheng. Zhao is stuck, desperately trying to yank his weapon free before the next hit lands. The demon swings its massive arms in a total frenzy, sent the 2 brothers flying across the courtyard. It's a complete wipeout. The impact of its counterattack is massive, cratering the ground and sending debris everywhere. Dust and spirit energy cloud the area as the brothers try to regain their footing. Nearby, Ling He is busy holding off a swarm of smaller ghosts, calling out for his brothers as the situation spirals out of control. Jiang Wang crouches low, catching his breath as the battle intensifies around him. Zhao Rucheng is slammed into the ground, coughing up blood as his sword snaps clean in half. The massive, resentful ghost looms over the fallen Zhao Rucheng, its giant clawed hand reaching down like a predator about to claim its prize. A sudden, powerful shockwave rips through the air, momentarily halting the ghost's advance. Zhao Rucheng grits his teeth, his eyes squeezed shut as he waits for the killing blow. But nothing happens. He slowly opens his eyes to find himself completely unscathed. Du Yehu, known to his brothers as Old Hu, suddenly steps into the fray, his massive frame glowing with a fierce, red-hot energy. Jiang Wang looks back in shock, calling out for his second brother as he sees the sudden transformation. Zhao Rucheng manages a weak cry for Old Hu, watching as the muscular man prepares to face the beast. Du Yehu unleashes his Qi blood smoke signal, declaring that even without unlocked meridians, his raw vital energy is enough to level the playing field. A spectral tiger aura roars around him as he gathers every ounce of his strength into his fists. With a thunderous roar, Du Yehu punches the ghost, the force of the blow sending ripples through the creature's spectral form. Jiang Wang encourages him, knowing this blinding display of power is their best chance to disrupt the monster's vision. Du Yehu's skin turns a deep, burning crimson, and steam begins to rise from his overheating body. His muscles bulge and hiss with extreme heat as he pushes his physical limits beyond what any normal human should endure. Watching from the ground, Zhao Rucheng is filled with worry, wondering if this reckless use of vital energy will permanently damage Du Yehu's foundation. Du Yehu shouts at him to stop worrying and get out of the way, forcefully shoving Zhao Rucheng back to safety. The ghost is momentarily lost within the thick clouds of steam and blood-red smoke. However, the monster is far from defeated, as the many eyes hidden on its head begin to glow with a malevolent light. The ghost lashes out with its oversized arm, the ground shattering beneath its heavy strike. It reaches into the illusory mist, snatching a dozen resentful spirits in one fell swoop. The creature uses its 2 pairs of hands to rip those resentful spirits apart, their flickering blue essence trapped within its long, spindly fingers. The demon starts tossing the severed heads of the resentful spirits into its gaping maw to activate its soul-eater magic. One by one, it devours the flickering blue souls, fueling its dark power to terrifying new heights. As it feeds, more eyes snap open across its brain-like skull, darting around in search of more prey. The monster's head twitches violently as dozens of pupils dart around in a chaotic frenzy, its power surging with every soul it devours. Jiang Wang realizes with a sinking heart that their distraction didn't work. The ghost's many eyes have already found them. The resentful ghost lets out a piercing shriek, blue energy erupting from the glowing core in its chest. Not one to back down, Du Yehu leaps back into the air, his fists clenched as he prepares to hammer the ghost into the ground. He tells Jiang Wang to stay back for now, vowing to hold the beast off and leaving the rest of the fight to him. Du Yehu clashes head-on with the monster's glowing claws, a chaotic explosion of red and blue energy erupting between them. Jiang Wang takes the opportunity to center himself, combining his first and second kill forms into a single, lethal strike. He lashes out with a barrage of purple energy slashes, moving faster than the eye can follow. His blade bites deep into the ghost's spectral hide, tearing away chunks of its corrupted essence. The monster roars in agony, its long tongue lashing out as it feels the sting of Jiang Wang's sword. In a total frenzy, the monster lunges a massive attack directly at Du Yehu, but he manages to raise his arms just in time to take a defensive stance. The ghost's counterattack is brutal, sending Du Yehu tumbling across the stone floor and through a pile of scattered debris. "Second brother," Jiang Wang screams, his heart racing as he sees his friend take such a heavy hit. The resentful ghost isn't finished, swinging a wide arc of freezing blue energy toward the brothers. Jiang Wang narrowly avoids that barrage of projectiles, but another strike is already breathing down his neck the very next second. Du Yehu scrambles to his feet, throwing his entire weight once more to hold back the demon's massive limb. He just saved Jiang Wang from a fatal blow. He grapples with the creature's clawed hand, his muscles straining as he tries to pin the much larger monster in place. "Do it now," Du Yehu bellows, his voice hoarse as he puts everything he has left into holding the line. Jiang Wang doesn't waste the opening, his blade glowing with a brilliant violet light as he prepares the purple chi from the East Sword technique. Seizing the window created by Du Yehu's desperate gamble, Jiang Wang surges forward with his third slaying form. Enveloped in a roaring vortex of purple energy, he delivers a piercing strike that shatters the demon's arm into 1,000 pieces. Jiang Wang steadies his stance, his blade pulsing with a sharp purple glow. Before they can even celebrate, the demon's massive claw lunges through the smoke, heading straight for Du Yehu. At the critical moment, the two spiritual seeds inside Jiang Wang shatter. His final lifeline has officially been activated. In a heartbeat, he streaks forward, intercepting the demon's massive claw with a terrifying display of strength. In a life-or-death struggle like this, absolute concentration is the only key to survival. The protagonist can feel his reserves hitting rock bottom. He's running on fumes, but he knows he has to give it his all. He pours every last drop of his energy into a massive wave of sword chi. The many-eyed monster lets out a piercing screech as the energy hits home. But even that isn't enough to stop the demon. With a final, desperate struggle, it flings both of them backward with overwhelming force. The monster's arm is severed, sending it into a roaring frenzy as thick black fluid gushes out, steaming with a foul stench. Nearby, the other two brothers are also struggling. Ling He shouts for Zhao Rucheng to back up Du Yehu and Jiang Wang, emphasizing that he must aim straight for the eye on the demon's chest. Du Yifeng is in bad shape, coughing up blood from the strain of his secret technique. He ignores the warning about his health. He's ready to burn his very soul to win this fight. His eyes flare with a dangerous, golden light as he stares down the enemy. Jiang Wang loses sight of the target for a split second, unaware it's looming right behind him. In a heart-stopping split second, his teammate lunges in, kicking Jiang Wang out of the demon's lethal jaws just before they snap shut. He then braces himself, using every ounce of his strength to hold the beast back. He isn't about to let his brother get torn apart by this thing. The man roars at Jiang Wang to take the shot and finish it once and for all. "Roger that," he replies, lunging forward with his glowing blade. He digs his heel into the ground, pivoting for a high-speed strike. He becomes a blur of purple circles, striking from multiple angles at once. A heavy blow connects with the monster's trunk, shaking it to the core. But just as he's about to land the final blow of his combo, Jiang Wang's sword lets out a sharp crack and snaps clean in half. The demon's body is simply too ironclad. A single missed beat in his rhythm, and he pays the price instantly. The demon seizes that split-second opening, delivering a bone-shattering blow that sends Jiang Wang flying. On the other side, Du Yehu has also lost his footing, sent reeling backward by the demon's overwhelming strike. Despite its overwhelming power, the resentful demon is now down to its last good leg, struggling to maintain its balance as it staggers forward. Seizing the moment, Zhao Rucheng activates his first kill style and lunges forward like a bolt of lightning. A precise thrust skewers the creature's foot, pinning it to the floor. The resentful demon screeches in agony, all its eyes swirling down to lock onto Zhao Rucheng. But just as it prepares to strike, a small stone flies out of nowhere and hits it square in the forehead with a sharp pop. With just that single hit, the resentful demon collapses backward with a heavy thud. Thinking he could finish it alone, Zhao Rucheng screams for the others to stay back. He's completely oblivious to the monster's jagged, bone-exposed limb, shards of fractured bone thrusting toward him in that fatal missed beat. And once again, it's the second brother, Du Yehu. In the nick of time, he leaps in to save Zhao Rucheng's life yet again. As he holds back the assault, he barks at Rucheng. "What's with that look? I'm your second brother, for God's sake. I'll protect you guys to the bitter end. Did you really think I'd just stand by and watch?" Combining his absolute mortal strength with a forbidden secret technique, Du Yehu twists his body and violently wrenches the demon's arm backward. His other hand slams down, locking the monster's neck in a vice-like grip. A double lock has been executed by Du Yehu, complete and absolute. He screams for his friend, holding the beast's head in place for a final strike. In response, Jiang Wang leaps into the air, his blade poised and ready as a streak of purple lightning flashes across the steel. The tip of his blade finds the monster's central eye, and pierces straight through. He follows through, burying the entire sword in the beast's chest core. It lets out a terrifying howl as its body continues to thrash around in a mad frenzy. Jiang Wang is stunned to see the creature thrashing even more violently than before. Down below, Rucheng desperately pins the demon's leg down, screaming for Linghe's help. He's at his absolute limit. He begs him to find a way, and fast. The situation is spiraling out of control. The demon's skull is swelling up as if it's undergoing a gruesome mutation, while its many eyes begin to erupt with beams of blinding white light. Linghe starts piecing together the clues, realizing there's more to this than just a random monster. He calls out to the group, pointing out that the obvious weak spot on its chest is just a decoy. Linghe reaches up and draws his hairpin, gripping it tight as he braces for his next move. The eldest brother builds his momentum, locking onto the true target with chilling precision. He shouts it out for everyone to hear. The real vulnerability is the square hole in the coin on its forehead. He slams his foot down, bracing himself for the impact of the final strike. He launches into the air, a golden aura surrounding him as he moves in for the kill. The whole team is on high alert, screaming their hearts out as the battle reaches its climax. The beast thrashes, its many eyes frantic as it realizes its secret is out. A massive spike of energy drives right through the coin, triggering a blinding explosion of light. Gold coins shatter and fly everywhere, the monster's defensive formation finally breaking apart. Du Yifeng grabs the beast by the head, grinning through the chaos because they actually pulled it off. The dust starts to settle, revealing an old man watching the whole thing from a rooftop nearby. The man just nods, looking completely unfazed by the carnage he just witnessed. This mysterious man is Uncle Deng, who's just standing there enjoying the show instead of lending a hand. Back with our protagonists, the demon's body begins to erupt in a series of grotesque bubbles. The group stares at the sight, sensing that something is still very, very wrong. The demon's corpse begins to bloat and expand at a terrifying speed. Linghe urgently shouts for his brothers to scatter. Linghe realizes the energy inside is surging out of control now that the core is gone. The demon's corpse suddenly detonates in a massive explosion, the blast wave hurling everyone off their feet. Everything goes white for a second as the spiritual pressure peaks. As the smoke clears, Linghe checks on the group. Du Yehu grumbles that they're all still in one piece. Zhao Rucheng confirms he's all right, while the main protagonist groans that his entire body is aching in pain. They all turn their attention to a crater in the center of the square, where something is glowing. It's the formation core, a green orb vibrating with leftover power. Miles away, someone is watching the entire scene through a magical mirror. A woman with long red nails holds the device, a cold smile on her lips. She snaps the mirror shut, clearly unimpressed with the display of heroism she just saw. This mysterious woman in red brushes off Jiang Wang's skills, calling them all right but nothing special. She stretches, a dark glint in her eyes. It's time for the real show to begin. She activates a high-level technique, one that promises to tear the world of the living and dead apart. Her gaze shifts toward a colossal wooden coffin standing right in the heart of the graveyard. She respectfully invites someone called the Third Elder to join the fray. The massive wooden lid slowly creaks open, and a wave of eerie green mist comes rushing out from within. A pair of pale, skeletal feet step onto the cracked earth, moving with a creepy steadiness. The newcomer is a living nightmare, nothing but bone wrapped in a thin layer of skin. This skeletal monstrosity looms ominously over the sacrificial altar. Chants echo through the air, speaking of gods returning from the abyss to cast light on the world. Meet the Third Elder of the Tao, a skeletal freak with iron spikes driven through his own flesh. The ritual is in full swing now, with hooded figures praying around their grisly centerpiece. The Elder lets out a bone-chilling roar, demanding a sacrifice for the return of the mysterious entity. A blade flashes, and the sacrifice begins with a brutal slit of a throat. Severed heads start spinning through the air in a morbid dance of blood and magic. The faces are frozen in twisted, laughing expressions as they fly toward their dark master. Maioyu thanks the Elder for his sacrifice, her voice smooth and cold as she watches the gruesome ritual unfold. The elder, now a skeletal wreck of a man, rasps about his devotion to returning to the embrace of their divine one. He grips a sharp metal spike, his hands steady despite the horrific transformation racking his body. With a final shout of fanatical devotion, the old man drives the spike deep into his own skull. The saintess watches the display without blinking, her eyes reflecting the ghostly blue fire flickering in the background. Deep within a dark pit, a massive rectangular monolith bristling with spikes stands as a grim altar. A colossal hand made of bone and ancient wood erupts from the earth, straining against heavy iron chains. The giant limb looms over the ritual site, pulsing with an eerie spiritual energy that chills the air. It slams its hand down onto the sacrificial altar, erupting a shockwave of light that marks the completion of the dark summoning. Maioyu raises her hand to shield her face as the shockwave blasts the air outward, toppling a brazier filled with blazing blue skulls. The power of the ritual has reached its absolute limit. A terrifying black void opens up in the sky, pulsing with a malevolent red light that bleeds into the clouds. Looking up at the tier in reality, the antagonist offers a chilling word of gratitude to her dark god. From the depths of the deep pit, a colossal vortex of eerie green death energy begins to take shape. The swirling death energy slowly lifts a tattered temple into the air, as it radiates a haunting, supernatural glow. Meanwhile, at the headquarters, hands exchange glowing orbs that pulse with different elemental energies. General Wei Yan stands in the courtyard, demanding to know which part of the defensive formation is still missing. The pot-bellied Wang Changxiang explains that they're simply waiting for the core of the Zun Palace to be delivered. Covered in wounds, Zhao Lang assesses that the missing piece is held by a group of new disciples, whose chances of survival are incredibly slim. Wei Yan has no intention of sitting idly by. He rallies his troops to move out and takes matters into his own hands. Li Jiankyu intervenes, advising the general to conserve his strength while he insists on retrieving it himself. Right at that moment, from within the thick smoke, comes the sound of innocent chatter about some spirit pills. The casual chatter grows louder, forcing the generals and their disciples to turn around in disbelief. Suddenly, Jiang Wang and his friends burst through the smoke, exhausted but carrying the prize. A shout goes up across the square as everyone realizes the final piece of the formation has finally arrived. Wang Changxiang reaches out his hand with great urgency, demanding the immediate handover of the formation core without wasting a single second. The green orb is placed into the ritual circle, joining the other colored gems in a perfect alignment. The senior brother begins a series of complex hand seals, channeling every bit of spiritual energy to activate the formation. The gathered cores begin to glow with intense light, spinning faster and faster in a magical blur. They start merging into a single, unified source of power, vibrating with an incredible intensity. With a sharp, powerful command, the Grandmaster disperses energy throughout the entire defensive array. But everything remains in dead silence as the incantation continues to be recited. The mantra "disperse" rings out for the third time, shattering the terrifying silence that grips the air. Wei Yan watches the spectacle with a grim face, ordering everyone to prepare for the battle of their lives. Eyes widen in sheer terror as the seal is shattered, and something truly repulsive emerges from the pitch-black sky. A massive glowing gate of blue light rises from the ruins, held in place by spectral chains. It's the Ghost Gate, a legendary portal to the underworld, adorned with skulls and dark inscriptions. A massive vortex of soul energy erupts from the gateway as it fully rises above the ground, right where the sacrificial altar once stood. Vengeful spirits begin to swarm into the air like a spreading plague. Seeing the scale of the threat, General Wei Yan screams for a red alert to be triggered immediately. Zhao Lang receives the order, his face turning pale as he prepares to trigger the emergency signal. He strikes a light, a column of fire erupting from the incense stick held firmly in his hand. A parchment explains the dire rules. Yellow is a warning, red means citywide destruction, and black is a fight to the death. The red flare from the incense stick shoots straight into the heart of the dark sky, cutting through the thick gloom. A single, brilliant beam of crimson light pierces the eye of the swirling vortex looming over the town. Within seconds, the signal spreads, turning the ominous dark clouds above into a sea of blood-red energy. Panic begins to spread through the streets as the people of Finland look up at the sky in utter confusion and dread. Standing over a fallen foe, a lone muscular warrior notices the alert, but chooses to trust the leaders at the palace. Deep within the palace, a mysterious high-ranking official stares at the crimson warning light in a fit of rage. He slams his hand onto the stone throne, sending deep cracks through the heavy structure. Kicking off from the stone balustrade, the high-level expert soars from the palace, streaking directly toward the town of Zallen. In the quiet of his room, Master Dong sighs and fans himself, feeling the heavy weight of his years as the chaos unfolds. Jiang Wang watches as the restless spirits start moving together in one direction. A massive stream of ghosts flows toward a glowing light in the distance. From high above, the entire town is being drained of its souls. The blue spectral energy begins to take a physical shape in the air. Everything converges as massive tides of vengeful spirits from all directions begin to swarm toward the town center, where the gate of hell has just manifested. Wei Yan realizes that the legendary gates of the underworld have actually manifested. Jiang Wang tries to get some answers, but his seniors are just as confused as he is. Sharp bursts of light crackle through the dark sky. Jiang Wang stays alert, feeling the pressure in the air change. Suddenly, the surrounding spirits are pulverized as golden beams of light streak in from nowhere, slashing through them. Violent energy slashes through the atmosphere. A colossal energy dome known as the Nine Heavens Astral Wind descends directly upon the heart of the demon gate. The team stands their ground as the wind and spirits clash around them. A massive pillar of energy strikes the tiled floor directly in front of the crowd with overwhelming force. Wei Yan senses the overwhelming presence of a high-ranking deacon standing right before him. The disciples struggle to stay upright against the overwhelming power of the astral wind. The sun breaks through the clouds as the energy ritual peaks. Below, a massive crater is revealed in the town, carved out by the spiritual vortex. The gate of hell has completely vanished. An angry shout echoes as a mysterious silhouette appears in the dust. Taken aback, Du Yahoo wonders aloud, asking his fellow disciples who that person could be. Wei Feng and Bearded Qi appear as the small but powerful old man explains that the entire town was merely a sacrifice. He is fuming with rage that the demonic cultists succeeded and escaped right under his nose. Tension builds as the survivors face their superiors. General Wei Yan immediately bows in respect, but the city lord ignores him completely. Turning to his partner, he muses that the demonic cult should have stayed to defend the gate. The fact that they fled the moment the ritual ended clearly points to a much darker conspiracy. Wei Yan tries to explain how the Gate of Ghosts suddenly appeared and ruined their plans. Wei Feng doesn't want to hear it and delivers a brutal slap across the general's face. The force of the strike sends the general flying backward. The rest of the cultivators can only watch as their leader is publicly shamed. Wei Feng reminds him that his position was a favor and that he's been a total failure. Du Yifeng gets heated, but Jiang Wang keeps him from doing anything reckless. Wei Yan drops to one knee, accepting full responsibility for the disaster. Wei Feng stares at him with cold, unforgiving eyes. Qi the Bearded warns that they need to move fast before the aquatic clan takes advantage of the chaos. Wei Feng demotes the general on the spot and orders a fine for his entire camp. Wei Yan takes the punishment without another word. The city lord and his guard fly off, planning to use the chaos to lure out the White Bone sect. Far away, the scene shifts to the dark and foreboding Qingjiang waters. Deep beneath the surface, a young girl from the aquatic clan swims through their sprawling city. This is the Water Palace, where the powerful aquatic clans reside. Inside, a man with blue hair and horns enjoys a drink. He's deep in conversation with a hooded envoy from the White Bone sect. Song Qingyu sees right through the messenger's games, dismissing his attempts at manipulation. The White Bone envoy tries to pressure Song Qingyu, bringing up his father's history. Song Qingyu isn't interested, slamming his cup and calling for his guards. He orders the guests to be escorted out, refusing to assist the cult with their land-based schemes. The envoy can see he's getting nowhere with his demands. Song Qingyu makes it clear that betraying his father's honor is out of the question. A pufferfish teapot pours out some tea as the talk reaches a standstill. He warns that leaving the water means losing their foundation and asks if they can afford his help. The hooded figure reveals their best offering, a complete dragon pearl. Song Qingyu admits it's a precious gift, but he doesn't drop his guard. He takes a drink, still dismissive of the envoy's manipulation. With no deal in sight, the envoy finally decides to take his leave. The visitor vanishes into the dark water, heading back to his own masters. Alone now, Song Qingyu scoffs at the envoy's pathetic attempt to talk about honor. A voice from the shadows asks him what he really thinks of the situation. He's furious about the emperor's arrogant request to marry off his sister, Qingzhai. He remembers how the Zhuang kingdom was built using his family's help. The alliance was supposed to be sealed by the marriage of his aunt, Song Wangxi. But she was betrayed and died a tragic, lonely death within the palace walls. Red flowers bloom near the palace, serving as a grim reminder of that history. His grip tightens until his teacup shatters into a dozen pieces. His father's voice reminds him the marriage wasn't forced, then asks about Qingzhai. He decides to send his sister to Maple Forest City in disguise for her own safety. The dragon pearl glows on its tray, holding immense energy and hidden traps. He tells his father to refine the pearl to save his life, while he handles the palace. Back at the academy, Du Yifeng talks about the high price of meridian pills. A fellow disciple picks his nose while gossiping about Wang Changxiang's spending habits. Jiang Wang wonders why a top student like him would even need such a pill. They whisper about a family secret, that the genius has an older brother. In a quiet corner of the city, a hand pushes open an old wooden door. A man in plain robes walks across his humble courtyard. An orange cat dozes on a bench, completely undisturbed by the world. The man stands alone in the yard, looking like any other ordinary citizen. A simple meal of steamed meat and vegetables was served immediately as soon as Wang Changxiang arrived home. "Dinner's ready," Wang Changxiang's older brother shouted, though the house felt strangely empty. He carries the trays toward the outdoor table with practiced ease. He calls for the cat Little Jew to come and join him for the food. The cat jumps onto the stool, eager for its share of the meal. It happily munches on its own small bowl of rice, looking very satisfied. The man eats in silence, his face worn and tired. Wang Changxiang didn't even pick up his chopsticks. Instead, he softly called out to his older brother. Wang Changji looks up, shocked to see his talented brother at his table. The two sat together in the silent courtyard, their conversation weighed down by a heavy heart. Wang Changxiang tells his brother about the mysterious disappearance of everyone in Zallen town. Wang Changji remained silent, seemingly indifferent, his face devoid of emotion as he gripped his chopsticks. Wang Changxiang went on for a while, but his brother brushed it aside, saying the academy and the judiciary would handle the matter. Changji sighs, admitting he's a useless person who can't even begin to grasp Dao techniques. He looks at his brother, feeling like a disgrace to the Wang family name. He tries to feed some greens to their cat, Zio Ju, telling the pet it needs more than just meat. The cat responds with a sharp scratch to Changji's hand. He doesn't even scold the animal, comparing its stubborn nature to his own lack of talent. Changxiang ignores the self-pity and pulls something special out of his robe. He reveals a small, round pill that glows with a faint spiritual light. Changji is speechless, realizing his brother spent a fortune in merits for an open meridian pill. Changxiang urged his brother not to give up, as he held high expectations for his future. But Changji only sighed, saying it was time to end the conversation right there. He even offers a bit of food to the cat, hoping it might make the beast a little kinder. Stunned, Changxiang snatched the elixir back before Changji could let the cat get a taste. Because of its cost, he let him know that 1,500 merit points is no small number. Changji quickly takes his leave, joking that their father will nag them both if he hears about this. Under the morning light, the Grand Tao Academy is already bustling with students. One disciple demonstrates a flame blade technique, manifesting a sword of pure fire. Master Zuo Tianmian, the legendary Zuo Iron Face, watches the display with a critical gaze. He gives a rare bit of praise, while admitting that even he took 50 days to lay his foundation. The master then turns his attention to Jiang Wang, calling him forward to demonstrate the technique. Jiang Wang is completely zoned out, worrying about the poor durability of his current sword. He's lost in a daydream about how powerful a real magic weapon would be in his hands. He calculates the cost, realizing he's still far from the 500 merits needed for a standard sword. His internal monologue is shattered when Master Zuo screams his name across the hall. The master is furious that someone has the nerve to daydream during his technique class. Jiang Wang can only apologize, admitting that he hasn't even reached the foundation level yet. Master Zuo is insulted by the honesty, calling him unappreciative of the path he's on. He delivers a harsh sentence, copy the purple void scripture 100 times before returning to class. After class, his friends gather to discuss the impossible length of the 30,000-character scripture. Di Feng offers to help him with the workload, but Jiang Wang knows he has to do it himself. A fellow student expresses surprise that someone with Jiang Wang's reputation is struggling so much. Jiang Wang thanks them for the concern, but leaves to pick up his little sister, Anan. That student stood there with a goofy expression, still in shock after being completely ignored by the whole group. Jiang Wang heads to a popular local spot known for its delicious Kai Jai lamb meat. He orders a lavish spread of sliced meat, soup, and fresh buns. He surprises Anan with the meal, fulfilling his promise to treat her if she studied hard. The little girl is delighted, shoving a large bun into her mouth immediately. Jiang Wang watches her eat, reminding her not to rush and to enjoy the food. Anan looks up with yellow eyes, asking if he's ever been scolded by his own teachers. A flush of embarrassment hits Jiang Wang as he remembers his recent punishment. He takes a calm sip of tea and tells a bold-faced lie, claiming his teachers are always satisfied. The restaurant is full of diners, but Jiang Wang's focus is entirely on his happy sister. After Anan finishes her meal, only empty plates and bowls are left on the table. Anan notices that her brother only drank soup, but Jiang Wang insists he's already eaten and isn't hungry. As Jiang Wang tightens his belt, his stomach lets out a loud, traitorous growl. Anan looks at him with wide, knowing eyes, having heard his stomach grumble. While Jiang Wang tries to call for the bill, Anan raises her hand and boldly orders another round of food for him. Jiang Wang panics, frantically explaining that he doesn't have any more money to pay for a second order. In response, Anan pulls out a beautiful pearl bracelet and places it firmly on the wooden table. She proudly explains that she earned it by helping a new classmate with their homework. Jiang Wang is shocked by the value of the pearl, but Anan stubbornly refuses to return it, claiming her friend has many more. A quiet night settles over the city under a full moon. Jiang Wang tucks in his little sister Anan. She's fast asleep, dreaming about eating meat again. He heads to his desk to prepare. Tonight is the 15th day, the scheduled time for his challenge in the Great Void Illusion. He channels his energy, his fist glowing with power. Jiang Wang stands within the intricate glowing array as the ritual begins. A masked challenger appears before him on the altar, questioning if the master of the green jade altar is finally ready. The system starts the countdown as the entire platform begins to spin. Everything blurs into a vortex of golden light. He finds himself standing on a massive floating platform high in the starry sky. This is the highest level of the illusion world, a place where he struggled before. He's already given up on this specific challenge twice in the past few months. An explosion of energy erupted as the two sections of the arena slammed together. Jiang Wang braces himself, eyes locked on the threat. They face off on the sword arena, a giant stone yin-yang symbol floating in the void. His opponent is a pale-faced man in official headwear. He mutters that since his last defeat to Jiang Wang, He has spent 6 months preparing for this rematch. Jiang Wang realized his previous victory had left a deep scar on the man's pride. The opponent bowed, announcing that he has mastered the ancient gentleman's 9 swords. The name of the technique sends a jolt through Jiang Wang. It's a legendary Confucian art. The countdown hits 1, and Jiang Wang's opponent leaps into the air. His sword also emits a purple glow, ready for the clash. Since this isn't the real world, Jiang Wang decides to gamble everything on his next move. Deciding to go all in, Jiang Wang swallows 9 spirit pills at once. He counters with his signature purple, Qi comes from the East technique. He pours every ounce of his will into the 5th form. A colossal blade begins to take shape from Jiang Wang's technique. The 2 blades meet with a violent clash. Shards of the spiritual swords shatter and spray across the platform. Jiang Wang's entire attack is pulverized into pink dust. As his blade pierces through, the opponent finishes Jiang Wang off with a philosophical quote about self-improvement. Jiang Wang begins to dissolve, realizing he never stood a chance. His opponent stands there in total triumph, wondering if his new technique was truly that overwhelming. The system announces the new altar master while he celebrates his victory. Back in reality, Jiang Wang snaps awake in a cold sweat. He sits up, reeling from the loss of his position at the green jade altar. He knew defeat was possible, but he didn't expect to be completely crushed. He needs a better foundation. He enters his Tangshan palace through deep meditation to reevaluate his path. He walks up the spiritual stairs toward the core of his cultivation. This spiritual world is where every cultivator must build their base. A small spirit creature chirps at him as he studies the formation diagrams. The Zhou Tian star formation is undeniably stronger than the standard one. While most use 81 points, the Zhou Tian map requires 365, making it exponentially harder. It would take him at least half a year just to reach the 9th rank with this method. And every rank after that would be an even slower, more grueling process. But knowing that victory won't come easy, he chooses the long road to build an ultimate foundation. Jiang Wang looks back on his journey, realizing that every step in cultivation is a grueling struggle. The scene shifts to the Sanfin Zhangqiang Tower, a local tavern. Inside, the brothers raise their cups in a celebratory toast. Zhao Rucheng is footing the bill, insisting that true cultivation requires a full experience of life, including fine wine and company. He relaxes with the courtesans, wondering where their eldest brother has run off to. Jiang Wang explains that Big Brother went to pick up little Anand from school. Deciding it's time for real talk, Jiang Wang asks the ladies to leave so they can focus on their own affairs. The courtesans bow out and head for the door. Du Yehu pours another round, while their friend frets about remaining a virgin forever if he doesn't advance soon. Jiang Wang offered to use his own merits to help Zhao Rucheng buy an advancement pill, but this playboy young master didn't seem to care at all. Zhao finds the daily grind of clearing meridians exhausting enough as it is. Tiger suddenly drops a bombshell. He's leaving the academy and giving all his merits to Jiang Wang. He's joining the army to switch to military cultivation, and he's already made up his mind. He knocks back his drink with a determined look. Zhao Rucheng tells him to think carefully, reminding him how hard they worked to enter the inner academy. Du Yehu explains that a vacancy opened up in the Jiujiang Xuanjia military unit, and he's set to transfer tomorrow. Looking down at the pier, the harsh reality sets in. Powerful martial cultivators are a rare sight in a nation dominated by Taoist arts. Zhao Rucheng points out this hard truth to Du Yehu. But Yehu brushes it off. He wants the freedom to grow his own way, even if it means ditching the standard advancement pills for old-school military training. Jiang Wang steps out into the quiet hallway for a moment. He secretly enters the Great Void Illusion, sitting down on the Tao performance platform right there in the tavern. He starts searching the system for something that can help his brother. His merit count starts dropping as the spirits of the blue dragon and the white tiger begin to manifest. The vermilion bird appears next as he continues to burn through his hard-earned points. Finally, the black tortoise joins them, completing the 4 spirits. The simulation finishes, rewarding him with the Four Spirits Body Refining Technique. It cost a fortune in merits, but Jiang Wang knows this transcendental military technique is worth the price. The spiritual glow fades as he finishes his business in the illusion world. Back in the tavern, he makes a plan to copy the manual tonight as a parting gift for Tiger. He pushes the door open, ready to rejoin the group. He stops short when he sees a beautiful woman standing alone in the corridor. Mayu turns and catches his eye, looking surprised to see him there. Jiang Wang stares back, taken aback by her sudden presence. The two cross paths in the narrow hallway. Mayu's eyes linger on him, as if she's recognized something hidden within him. Jiang Wang keeps his head down, offering a quick apology as he brushes past her. He kicks himself for being so reckless, entering the illusion in such a crowded public place. He doesn't realize that the saintess is still watching him from the shadows. Back at the table, he hands the newly acquired technique over to Du Yehu. The tavern's Madame Li bursts into the room, gushing over how handsome young Master Zhao has become. Zhao Rucheng tries to keep his distance, feeling a bit overwhelmed by her sudden enthusiasm. He jokingly complains that he has higher standards and is only interested in seeing Mayu tonight. Mayu watches Jiang Wang intensely, a strange suspicion beginning to take root in her mind. Jiang Wang remains oblivious to her gaze, calmly finishing his drink. Zhao Rucheng wobbles slightly, questioning if the alcohol has finally started to get the best of him as he spots a breathtaking beauty stepping into their private room. Mayu maintains her playful facade, teasing the young master about his persistent advances. Zhao is genuinely impressed. It's rare for a woman to resist his charm, especially given how much he spent tonight. Mayu admits that while Zhao is handsome and generous, he simply isn't what she's looking for. She leans in close to Jiang Wang, telling him flatly that he doesn't seem to care for her at all. The atmosphere in the private room remains lighthearted despite the underlying tensions. Tiger starts rounding everyone up, deciding it's finally time to call it a night. Zhao Rucheng isn't ready to give up yet, claiming he's never pursued a woman this persistently before. He lays it on thick, declaring that his love for Mayu is like an overflowing flood. Mayu laughs off his flowery words, mockingly praising his delicate and clear heart. But her smile quickly vanishes as she calls him out on being merely bored rather than in love. Zhao pauses, his eyes narrowing as he realizes she's seen right through his playboy act. He huffs, suddenly annoyed by how clever she is. Jiang Wang stands up to leave, mentioning he has to get home and cook for his little sister, Annan. Zhao Rucheng immediately protests, begging the group to take food to go rather than endure Jiang Wang's terrible cooking. Even Tiger agrees, pleading with Jiang Wang to spare poor little Annan from his culinary experiments. Annoyed by the teasing, Jiang Wang snaps at them to stop nagging and just get moving. As they leave the tower, Jiang Wang vows that his cooking skills will eventually match his martial prowess. Unnoticed by anyone, Mayu's hand moves with a subtle, supernatural flick. A glowing mark appears on Jiang Wang's back. The seed of white bones has been planted. The seed embeds itself into his spiritual aura, a silent parasite waiting to grow. Mayu watches from the balcony, hoping he's a true Dao child, so he can serve as nourishment for her sect. The next morning, the group gathers on the outskirts of Finglin City by a massive red maple tree. Tiger tests his strength one last time, the air crackling with the force of his pending departure. He faces his brothers, ready to carve his own path in the military world. Before they part ways, Jiang Wang pulls out the manual he prepared specifically for this moment. He hands the Four Spirits Body Refining Technique over to his second brother. Tiger is stunned by the gift, while Zhao Rucheng leans in, eager to get a look at the technique for himself. Zhao is initially dismissive of a simple body-refining technique, but the complexity of it soon changes his mind. Tiger offers to share the manual with their oldest brother, Ling He. Ling He politely declines, choosing to stay focused on his current Meridian work in the Tangshan Palace. Tiger asks what Jiang Wang will do now that he's given away such a valuable resource. Jiang Wang is confident. He's already memorized the method and is ready for their next meeting. The brothers share a final, warm smile, knowing their paths will eventually cross again in the future. Tiger lets out a roar, promising to see them all in the capital city of Xinan. They clash their fists together in a solemn vow of brotherhood and future success. Tiger looks back one last time, his eyes filled with a new fire. Little Annan runs over, demanding that she be included in the brothers' fist bump. The brothers laugh and lower their hands, so the little girl can join in on the promise. With a determined grin, Tiger turns toward the horizon and his new life in the army. Du Yehu shouts a final farewell to his brothers as he prepares to ride off toward his new life in the army. With a sharp command to his horse, the tiger of the group begins his long journey toward Xinan. As autumn draws to a close, the clouds part for a clear sky, marking the start of a rigorous new training period for the remaining friends. Jiang Wang immerses himself in the Four Spirits Body Refining Technique, visualizing the potent wood element power of the Azure Dragon. Every grueling session brings him one step closer to completing the foundation of his Tangshan Palace. However, the intense heat generated by the technique forces him to strip down, much to Zhao Rucheng's amusement. A flustered Jiang Wang quickly gets dressed, while Zhao Rucheng teases him for his lack of modesty during training. Zhao Rucheng lounges lazily with his grapes, questioning why Jiang Wang works so hard when life is meant to be enjoyed. Despite his carefree attitude, Zhao has actually come today for something serious, a sword-fighting duel to test their progress. Jiang Wang doesn't miss a beat, telling his friend to wait until he finishes his meticulously planned daily schedule. He carefully tracks every task, knowing his brothers are also pushing themselves to their limits in their respective paths. With nearly 100 formation points already mapped, Jiang Wang remains focused on the daunting complexity of the Zhaoshan star map. The two friends shift from talk to action, their swords clashing in a blur under the golden afternoon sun. Later, while Jiang Wang and Ling He focus on their academic studies, a bored Zhao Rucheng quickly drifts off to sleep. Even late into the night, Jiang Wang continues his research by lantern light, accompanied by his little sister Annan. Time passes in a blur as the maple leaves of Finglan City continue to fall, signaling the change of seasons. Zhao Rucheng excitedly waves to Ling He as the three brothers reunite at the academy for a major announcement. The students gather in the courtyard, buzzing with rumors about a sudden summons to the city lord's mansion. Ling He reveals the reason for the gathering, the approach of the annual Three Cities Dao debate. This year, Finglan City will play host to the prestigious competition, serving as a vital sharpening stone for all participants. The event is a critical stepping stone for students preparing for the high-stakes county exams in November. The debate will test the raw talent and martial skill of cultivators from Wangjiang, Finglan, and Sanshan cities alike. Workers are busy setting the stage for something big. The academy's arena is packed, and you can feel the energy in the air. Everyone's hyped because Master Dong and the city lord are showing up together for this year's debate. Master Dong takes the lead to announce the rules for the upcoming competition. The city lord expects nothing but victory for our city, so don't even think about slacking off. Otherwise, you'll have to answer to him. Jiang Wang listens in, hearing about the massive merit rewards for anyone who can actually pull out a victory. Jiang Wang's expectations are immediately crushed when Brother Huang tells him to forget it. In other cities, the first-year participants are the elite. They've been groomed for tournaments like this long ago. This guy starts bragging about how he used to be a fire element genius back in his prime. Jiang Wang and Zhao Rucheng just give him a look like, "Yeah, you really don't look like a genius now." Brother Huang admits he fell off because he got a bit too into the party life and women. Ha ha, and all this time, he was preaching about being a pure-hearted virgin. While he's mopping, someone bumps right into him from behind. It's Zhang Linchuan, a fifth-year elite, and he tells the group to keep it down. Zhang Linchuan is actually trying to hide in the back so the dean doesn't spot him and give him more work. Too bad for him. The announcement goes out that Zhang Linchuan will be leading the entire academy team. He immediately puts his head in his hands. Talk about a lot of unwanted pressure. Master Dong notices his reaction and asks if he's got an issue with the academy's choice. Zhang Linchuan puts on a brave face, claiming he's confident and ready to give his all. The students are impressed, but they wonder why other top names like Zhu Weiwo aren't on the list. Jiang Wang asks why brother Zhu isn't joining them for the competition. Zhang Linchuan explains that Zhu's busy chasing down a member of the 9 great demonic lords. Just the mention of the heart-devouring demon makes everyone go completely serious. These demonic lords are absolute nightmares, and even the weakest among them is a total powerhouse. They've ravaged whole nations and are basically the world's most feared villains. And yet here's a student like Zhu Weiwo, out there alone trying to hunt one down. Back at the ceremony, Master Dong says they've reserved one special spot for a new first-year disciple. Someone in the crowd clenches their fist, thinking this is their big break. Fang Heling is already smiling, assuming the dean is obviously talking about him. Master Dong points out into the sea of students to make his choice. He calls out the name, Jiang Wang. Fang Heling's smug face just completely shatters in an instant. The whole area goes silent as everyone processes the surprise pick. Fang Heling isn't taking it lying down. He jumps out and objects to the decision right then and there. Master Dong gives him a look that says he's about to regret speaking up. Fang Heling is terrified, but his ego won't let him back down from challenging the pick. The city lord, Wei Feng, steps in to handle things before the dean loses his cool. He decides the best way to settle it is a fight. Whoever wins the match gets the spot. Master Dong calls Jiang Wang up to the stage to face his challenger. Jiang Wang calmly steps forward and pays his respects, only to ask the 2 senior examiners if he is truly allowed to critically injure his opponent. Fang Heling thinks he's got this in the bag, looking down on Jiang Wang as some nobody. The rules are simple: don't kill him and don't cripple him. Fang Heling charges in immediately with his Twin Flames Blade technique. He goes for a flashy move, but Jiang Wang just shuts it down, sending him spinning through the air. Jiang Wang's friends are impressed, noting how much his skills and body training have paid off. Meanwhile, Fang Heling is out cold on the floor, foaming at the mouth after that beatdown. The crowd goes wild, cheering for the obvious winner. Fang Heling finally snaps out of it, looking completely dazed and confused. He's not ready to give up yet, though, and tries to fire up another attack while screaming at Jiang Wang. His friends aren't having it, calling him out for being a shameless sore loser since he already lost while unconscious. The crowd starts chanting for him to just get off the stage already. He tries to save face by accusing Jiang Wang of cheating and sabotaging his own cultivation just to win. Master Dong isn't hearing any of it and tells the disgraceful fool to get lost. As he slinks away, Fang Heling curses Jiang Wang, wishing him a life of failed cultivation. Later at the Academy Hall, things quiet down. The process of laying a foundation is far more complex and dangerous than it looks. Master Dong calls out Jiang Wang, pointing out that the array he used for his foundation was all wrong. He slams the table in frustration. He lectures him on the dangers of acting alone on something as crucial as a foundation, but Jiang Wang just takes the scolding and admits he messed up. Master Dong notes that with his talent, he could have been much further along if he just followed the proper path. Jiang Wang is ready to take whatever punishment comes his way, even if it means starting over from scratch. The dean decides they've wasted enough time talking about what's already done. Instead of a punishment, he pulls out a jade pendant containing a secret technique to help him control his energy better. It's clearly a valuable treasure, and Jiang Wang feels it's way too much for a disciple to take. Master Dong insists, saying it's an old gift from a friend that he doesn't have any use for anymore. He places the Control Yuan banner directly into Jiang Wang's hand. He tells him to take it, reminding him that the youth are the true future of the kingdom. The power from the pendant immediately begins to flow through his body. Jiang Wang feels the surge of energy, looking like a new man under the glow. He bows deeply, giving his sincere thanks to the honored master. With the lecture over, Master Dong tells him he's free to go. Later that evening, the sun begins to set over the city. An invitation arrives from the Fang family, much to Jiang Wang's surprise. It's a formal invite to Wanju Tower from the head of the family, Fang Zehu. Jiang Wang decides to turn it into a family outing and asks Annan if she's up for a big feast. Ling He steps up, insisting on coming along to act as the big brother bodyguard. Jiang Wang tells him not to worry, since the Fangs wouldn't be dumb enough to try anything at a public banquet. Jiang Wang and an bid farewell to Ling He, heading toward the tower as night falls. They arrive at the prestigious Wanju Tower, where the meeting is set. The staff is already waiting for them, ready to lead the honored guest to the private room. But as soon as he steps inside, Jiang Wang spots someone who makes him pause. Sitting with Fang Zehu is a massive, scarred man who looks like he's seen 100 battlefields. The head of the family, Fang Zehu, greets him with a fake smile, calling him an honorable nephew. He starts by complimenting Annan, trying to act like a friendly host. Jiang Wang wants to get straight to business, but Fang Zehu insists they eat their fill first. Annan doesn't mind the food at all, but she can't help but think the big, bearded guy looks even scarier than Brother Tiger. Big Beard Fang sits in silence, his imposing presence filling the room with an unspoken threat. High above the lake, Wanju Tower stands as a beacon of luxury and power in the night. Fang Zehu gestures to a servant, who presents a golden abacus as a gift for Annan's supposed cleverness. Jiang Wang keeps eating, completely unimpressed by the display of wealth. He wants to know the real reason he was invited. The family head starts with a fake apology, claiming he wants to put all the past unpleasantness behind them. He mentions that with Fang Pengju gone, the family's future rests on Fang Helling, who's been drinking himself into a stupor since losing the duel. Jiang Wang doesn't even look up from his bowl, giving a curt, "So." Zehu finally gets to it. He wants Jiang Wang to lie and say he cheated so that Helling can get his confidence back. Jiang Wang stops mid-bite, his voice cold as he refuses to betray his conscience for the sake of a sore loser's pride. Thinking everyone has a price, Fang Zehu pushes forward a box containing a rare and powerful Dao Yuan stone. He explains that the stone holds 100 units of energy, enough to potentially finish Jiang Wang's foundation instantly. He smiles, certain that a mere academy disciple won't be able to resist such a massive bribe. But Jiang Wang just pushes the bribe right back, telling him point-blank that Fang Helling isn't worth it. He tells Annan they're leaving, even though she's mid-meal and heartbroken over her half-eaten chicken leg. The mask of hospitality finally slips, and Fang Zehu warns him that the Fang family isn't someone he should be making enemies of. He laughs at the idea that Jiang Wang's status as a disciple will protect him from the family's reach. He introduces his cousin, Fang Zeyang, the city guard commander who even the academy director has to respect. The massive warrior looms over them like a mountain, his shadow swallowing the siblings whole. Jiang Wang recognizes him immediately. This is the man who stood beside the city lord back in Zallen town. He knows he's in a dangerous spot, as the commander's rank and power are far beyond anything he can handle right now. Suddenly, the room shakes as Big Beard Fang slams his fist into the table, shattering the feast in an explosion of wood and food. Poor Annan can only watch in horror as her precious chicken leg flies through the air. The commander's eyes are burning with rage, but they aren't directed at Jiang Wang. Fang Zehu watches with a smirk, thinking his cousin is about to crush the arrogant young disciple for him. Instead, Big Beard Fang turns his fury on Zehu, calling him a pathetic coward for what he just tried to do. He's disgusted that his family name was used to try and bully a talented young man into lying. He makes it clear that while they share a name, he's never taken a single dime from the main Fang family. He declares that he owes everything to the city lord, not them, and tells Zehu to never contact him again unless it's for a funeral. He turns his attention to the little girl cowering behind Jiang Wang. In a jarring shift, the mountain of a man tries to be cute, asking if he scared her while surrounded by cartoon hearts. Annan is absolutely traumatized by the sight, while Big Beard Fang just stands there, completely oblivious to how terrifying he still is.